on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy Thursday to you, my little buddy.
Hey, Crudy. Great to hear. I got a little delay going on here, my friend. Crudy, happy Friday Eve to you. So much to talk about. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I'd like to get back to basics, Dom. I'd like to get back to blocking and tackling, if you will. I'd like to get back to Walker bashing.
It's been some time.
It really hasn't been all that long, but, you know, no time like the present. So today, I think only appropriate, and I'm telling you, man, there is a lot to unpack on this man's Twitter stream, the Wankinator. And the question to start the day today, Dom.
Yeah?
What's the wanker been tweeting?
Oh, it does. Now, before we get into it, of course, we have a lot of bashing for this man. Is it appropriate? I mean, he's not even the governor of the state of Wisconsin anymore. Why do we care what the former governor, former failed presidential candidate, does on any given day?
Well, Dom, as far as I'm concerned, he thinks he's a competitor down the dial on Righty Whitey Talk Radio.
Oh.
Here's one of the tweets that went out in the last day. Looking forward to filling in for the Mark Belling Show this Friday.
All right.
From 3 to 6 p.m. on Righty Whitey Talk Radio. Please tune in, he says. That one garnered one retweet. One. From the former governor who's got hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers. He got one retweet.
Very excited. Very excited.
Yeah, people are very excited to hear him do talk radio again. So, you know, I got a little theory on this, Dom.
Yeah.
He was not qualified. You talked about him being a failed presidential candidate. Didn't have enough star power. Had never done talk radio.
See?
He's trying to backfill his resume right now.
When you are a talk radio host, you are then now qualified to do anything.
Damn near anything, Dom. Now, there are a few troubling tweets on this man's Twitter stream, and I don't mean last night's dinner, but you betcha it's out there. Great way to start. I guess he doesn't do the Trump, but, you know, sort of the bland, vanilla voice. Great way to start a wonderful Italian meal at Santino's in Milwaukee. Apparently, he darkened their doorstep last night, Dom. He's got some sort of cheesy ravioli thing with a big frickin' stack of black olives.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Nor I. Of the governor or the black olives.
Right.
Anyways, here are a few of the more important than he's filling in for Belling and what he had for dinner last night. This sandwich between those two tweets, Dom. Scott Walker retweeting Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader in the House. And you might question, why would Scott Walker retweet Scott Walker retweeting Kevin McCarthy?
That's a
I
great...
can't tell you for sure.
Okay.
But McCarthy, you got to start from the beginning. McCarthy, here's what he tweeted. I want to make it abundantly clear that despite what Democrats, the media, or abortion advocates say, there is not a debate about limiting access to abortion for women. It is about protecting the life of babies who are already born.
No, is this a case when Trump was in Wisconsin, he said, you know, they give birth to the baby and they wrap the baby and they take the baby away and then they decide whether or not to execute the baby? That kind of comment?
Yes, something of that sort. And Scott Walker picked up on Kevin McCarthy at the GOP leader's Twitter stream. And Scott Walker retweeted, you know, with a little comment. How can anyone be against this? Democrats now support abortion even after birth. Horrific. Thanks for standing up for life! Exclamation point. Democrats now support abortion even after birth.
You can't really call it abortion after birth, can you? That becomes,
What do you think of these online reports that say you had a love child in college?
Well, Tom, that would
be
imply
murder.
that Democrats are for murder now.
Homicide.
I mean, I know he likes to mischaracterize us as socialist or communist or worse.
murderers.
But murderers?
Yeah,
Scott
you're
Walker,
murderers.
really?
Of course, baby killers.
Now, I would point out on the retweet of Scott Walker retweeting the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, one more tweet in the stream. Twitter emailed me multiple times about complaints with the tweet below. The one about Democrats being for murder, Dom, that one apparently troubling to many of the people on Twitter, and they must have contacted Twitter and said, is this hate speech? And then he goes on, must have triggered someone. Someone killing a newborn baby should trigger everyone, not tweeting about it. And then, of course, he tweeted about dinner at Sortino's. Now, above and beyond that, Tom, got up this morning. And what else would he do? Kind of like the president, his new hero. He goes directly to Twitter, apparently, and puts out a little, I guess this one, Proverbs. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lead not on your understanding, because good thing, Donald Trump and Scott Walker, neither one of them are really truly Christian men, in my opinion, nor are either capable of leaning upon their own understanding of damn near any issue. The rest of the proverb, in all ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight.
I want to thank God for his abundant grace.
He hasn't referenced or referred to Donald Trump claiming to be the chosen one yet. Are we going to get to that, maybe?
So is he effectively, through Proverbs, praying to Trump at this point?
I mean, if Trump's the chosen one and Scott
that
Walker
the one,
is Trump's guy in Wisconsin.
Just because he says it doesn't make it true.
In all ways, submit to him, Dom.
Ooh.
Him. Not the capital him. Not like the God him. Him.
Trump, the Trump
The
him.
chosen one.
The chosen, the godly orange one.
Now, here's another one from Scott Walker's Twitter stream in the last 24 hours.
Just
earlier
because
today.
Trump is orange, it doesn't make him the son of God. Get it?
Yeah, that was bad.
All right.
Scott Walker retweets another organization that Scott Walker has some loose affiliation with, the NRRT, the National Republican Redistricting Troublemakers. Whatever
This should be interesting.
retweets an article from the NRRT account about Scott Walker inserting himself into the conversation about nonpartisan redistricting in the state of New Hampshire, and commending Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, for vetoing a bill that would bring forth nonpartisan redistricting.
Well, we can't have that. If that were to happen, Republicans would lose across the board.
Apparently, Scott Walker qualified to submit an op-ed at the Monitor, this paper, the Concord Monitor, Concord, New Hampshire. Scott Walker failed to win New Hampshire, right, Don?
Scott Walker failed to win anything, ever.
I'm going to read
on the federal
briefly.
level.
Governor Chris Sununu took an oath to support the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire. And unlike many politicians these days, he actually kept his promise to the people. Yeah, you never kept your promise about 250,000 jobs.
It was just a big goal.
Out-of-state interests led by former federal Attorney General Eric Holder pushed for legislation in New Hampshire, House Bill 706.
Wait, isn't he an out-of-state interest? Scott Walker inserting himself is an out-of-state interest party in New Hampshire, is he not?
Hey, I'm reading the Scott Walker, former governor of the state of Wisconsin's op-ed in the Concord Monitor. Please allow me to continue as he chastises the out-of-state interest, Eric Holder. I continue. Out-of-state interests led by former federal Attorney General Eric Holder pushed for legislation in New Hampshire, House Bill 706, that would give a clear partisan advantage to Democrats, despite claims from Holder that his group was fighting for fair maps and against gerrymandering. The form that they filed with the IRS says that the mission is to favorably position Democrats for redistricting. So if we don't roll over and take that gerrymander, well, that means we're just as guilty as your group's trying to be, right, Scott Walker?
Right, bend over and take it.
I read on. Holder and his liberal allies have raised and spent at least $250 million this decade on litigation, ballot measures, and data to aid their attempts to gerrymander people like Speaker Nancy Pelosi into permanent control of the U.S. House of Representatives. For them, it's all about power. Instead of power, Governor Sununu focused on the state constitution. He was right to veto House Bill 706. In his veto message, the governor correctly noted that the New Hampshire Constitution directs the legislature to determine legislative and executive council districts. The drafters of our Constitution were wise to vest such authority in the people's elected representatives who are accountable to the voters every 2 years, the members of the commission. So a nonpartisan commission being proposed, Sununu vetoing such, Scott Walker commending him for vetoing what would have been nonpartisan redistricting in the state of New Hampshire, just trying to keep it all straight, Dom. I read on. House Bill 706 would be unelected and unaccountable to the voters. Legislators should not abrogate their responsibility to the voters and delegate authority to an unelected and unaccountable commission selected by political party bosses.
Versus what? The courts, like they did here in the state of Wisconsin?
Well, it's not the courts per se, Dom. Let's understand. They have proposed a nonpartisan redistricting option. And Scott Walker wants it back in the hands of the gerrymandered legislature that favors Republicans. You know, the fair way, the way the New Hampshire Constitution originally proposed it before there was, data-driven, computer-driven AI models on how to best screw the electorate and favor your own incumbency, Dom. Well, he's all for that. This former governor of the state of Wisconsin chastising Eric Holder and those out-of-state interests in an op-ed he wrote to the New Hampshire Concord Monitor newspaper.
Now, the irony is a little rich here these days.
New Hampshire Concord, and Scott Walker lives in the state of Wisconsin, so the New Hampshire Concord newspaper would be out of state, right?
It would seem. And then another attack on Eric Holder, this one a retweet of a Karl Rove piece at the Wall Street Journal. Another attack of Eric Holder. And I want to get down to one more. I think I skipped it now. We talked about the post-birth abortion that Democrats now favor, and that apparently many Twitter users have taken some objection to, and Scott Walker wears it proudly. You know, object to killing babies. Don't object to me tweeting false and ludicrous allegations against the Democrats on my Twitter stream. Which one is it? Oh, one more. Scott Walker. Oh, here it is. This one I think has got to be about Trump.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Lord, God of Israel.
Yes!
There is no God like you in heaven above or on earth below. You who keep your covenant of love with your servants who continue wholeheartedly in your way. 1 Kings 8:23, Dom.
Scott Walker is Donald Trump's servant. And Donald Trump, of course, is the chosen one. And what, God of Israel?
The one other thing, the wanker was out tweeting in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Retweeted a Fox News article that talked about the ballooning national debt. And Scott Walker says that's why we need a balanced budget amendment, without acknowledging the fact he also supports the tax cuts that Donald Trump passed, right?
Right.
And signed into law. They gave many of his rich donors another grandiose gift. What's wanker tweeting? It ain't good. But you know there's always some food in there. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. We're going to get down to basics, blocking and tackling. There's a football game tonight, man. It's preseason. If you're not up for the game, we're going to cut your ass. 4 Devils, 844-967-2789.
It's going out to idiot America. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation. Everything is meant to be.
I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive conservative message can rise to the top of the field.
Right now, in a number of states, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change.
I want to thank God for his abundant grace.
Hey guys, this is Maggie Dawn, host of Dawn of the Resistance, live Thursdays and Fridays from 6 to 7 p.m. Starting August 22nd, I'm going to be joined in studio with Dr. Fran Kaplan and Reggie Jackson, Executive Director of America's Black Holocaust Museum, to do 6 shows about race in America. On August 22nd and 23rd, we're going to talk about the history you never learned, facts about race in America. On August 29th and 30th, we're going to talk about why we think the way we do, unpacking implicit bias. Last, on September 5th and 6th, we're going to talk about why what we say and what we do matters. Getting woke, staying woke, and doing woke things. So white folks, you got questions you've never asked? Write them down, tune in, and call in starting August 22nd through September 6th on Dawn of the Resistance on WRRD 1510 AM, always streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union Yes.
5 9s, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Hey guys, I'm Maggie Dawn, your lady lawyer, legal eagle, and sensei of economics. Tune into my show, Dawn of the Resistance, live Thursdays and Fridays from 6 to 7 on WRRD 1510 AM. Always streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. On Twitter, Devil Radio, on the political party line, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, back to the Wankinators Twitter feed, and you might wonder, why the Lizzo? I'll tell you why.
Tell me, man.
Scott Walker now is affiliated, at least loosely, with 2 or 3 different organizations, right? The National Republican Redistricting Turkeys, whatever the T stands for in that group. And then he's also got the Young AFs, right? He's going to take the job as the chief executive in like February of 2021.
Yeah, right around the corner.
So not only is he using the NRTT's Twitter handle and then turning around and using his Twitter handle to retweet what he just tweeted through that prior organization, he did it twice today.
The Young America's Foundation.
Young Americans. YAF.
The foundation also preserves the Reagan Ranch.
Well, there's something as F. But here's the thing. Apparently, Lizzo tweeted out, and it was the candidates from the last Democratic race. And center stage was Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders and Lincoln Chafee and Jim Webb and, others, O'Malley. But for whatever reason, Lizzo chose to tweet out her song along with this and Hillary Clinton center stage. One must assume this Lizzo was in support of Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton tweeted back, and if you just heard the lyrics, well, she tweeted back some of Lizzo's lyrics back at her. I just took a DNA test. Turns out, and that's when Scott Walker felt like he was going to get involved. Because, he's so culturally cool and urban. And I'm sure Scott Walker's got Lizzo on his playlist. So using his YAF organization's Twitter and then turning around immediately and retweeting it as Scott Walker, he tweets, "You're 100%, all caps, not president." Now, do you see the irony here?
That Scott Walker is also 100% not the president?
I think so. I think it's very ironic that he would, call out Hillary Clinton? Anyways, Dom, so that's what the wanker's been tweeting in the last day or so.
And the lyrics from Lizzo, my understanding, I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch is the actual lyrics from Lizzo. And that could also apply to Scott Walker.
Oh, he's 100% bitch, no doubt.
Oh, come on.
Hey, do we have some callers?
No, we don't. Yes, let's get it out there. Let's get it out there. It's already
collectively. Let's share the phone number.
844
Scott Walker like a bitch.
844-967-2789.
Now, somebody did send me a message, and I thought it was, a little untasteful, but I'll still share it with the audience.
Okay.
It was something about people transitioning, I believe. And, I'd like to point out, I don't make fun of anyone that would find themselves trapped in a biological body that doesn't match how they feel about themselves, right?
Sure.
But there was a picture of what apparently was once upon a time a biological man who was transitioning into a woman. And this woman was the spitting image of Tonette Walker. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Thank you for sharing.
I don't mean to be insulting or overly personal, but Dom, when we come back, we are going to be both insulting and overly personal.
What? Come on, it's not personal here. It's only politics, Crudy.
What about your buddy, James Widgerson over at Righty Whitey, Wisconsin? Can we be a little personal?
The Widge. We might get a little personal.
He did seek an apology, Dom, and I wish granted. I put an apology on social media today. It's an apology he's been waiting for since last September, nearly a year, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it was worth the wait. We'll talk about Widgerson. I bet if you put a wig on him and maybe shaved him down a little bit, I bet he could also be the spitting image of Tonette Walker.
Oh, no.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Yeah, we're 100% something. Come back. 844-967-2789. Your calls. Welcome here.
If you missed something on the Devil's Advocates, don't worry. After you get over your shame, you can check out domandcroot.com. Podcasts and interviews updated daily.
Well, I think they're just stupid. I think they're idiots.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Go back to where they came from, help those people, come back and show us how to do it. That was the full quote.
They didn't come from anywhere. They were here, dude. Are you employed, Chris?
I am.
Do you have an HR department?
Yes, I do. I'm a union machinist.
Oh, do you work with minorities?
I do.
If you walked up to one of your coworkers who was a minority, you told them to go back to where they came from, would HR have a conversation with you about that, do you think?
It depends on the person, really. I mean, some people are...
If somebody complained to HR about what you said, do you think they would have a conversation with you about that? Okay.
Absolutely.
But why? Why would they pull you off of your job to discuss this with you, and what do you think their beef would be?
Because they're trying to protect the corporation from lawsuits.
Lawsuit for what?
Discrimination, racism.
So if your coworkers, if you say it to your coworker, it could be described as discrimination or racism. But when the president says it to the world, it's not racist?
No. Yikes.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Pobletti, and our report for Thursday, August 22nd is brought to you by Spectrum. Health Services Secretary Andrea Palm won bipartisan backing from a Senate committee despite concerns from Senator Andre Jacques about conflicts of interest within the agency. But first, the GOP authors of legislation to create a new dental therapist license in Wisconsin hailed the proposal as a way to improve access. But a lobbyist for the Wisconsin Dental Association countered that while the lawmakers' intentions were good, their efforts were misplaced. He said the state would be far better off to invest in the care already provided by his members, particularly by improving reimbursement rates under the Medicaid program. Additionally, 6 Assembly Republicans are calling on their colleagues in the legislature to override Governor Tony Evers' partial vetoes on mental health initiatives in the budget. In a release yesterday morning, Republican Reps Paul Tittle, Joe Sanfilippo, John Jagler, Romaine Quinn, Pat Snyder, and Nancy Vandermeer slammed the Gov's use of his veto pen. Tittle accused Evers of, quote, turning his back on the mental health needs of our state. An Evers spokeswoman countered that the Gov had directed the Department of Health Services to proceed with the vetoed programs in 3 of the 4 items Republicans targeted in their release. The spokeswoman further questioned the sincerity of the GOP coalition, noting in an email that Republicans last month chose not to release $100,000 in funding for mental health services for farmers. Finally, Jacques yesterday said he was concerned about Palm's decision to hire Nicole Safar, who formerly worked for Planned Parenthood, to fill the agency's number 3 slot as Assistant Deputy Secretary, but the committee backed her appointment 4-1. Jacques charged that Safar, who supervised Planned Parenthood's legal team that challenged state laws limiting access to abortion, could undermine the state's defense of abortion restrictions currently being challenged in federal court. Fellow GOP Senator Dale Kooyenga said it wasn't reasonable to expect that only those who oppose abortion will work in the state government. He argued the focus should be on Palm's resume to perform the, quote, blocking and tackling of managing an agency. He said the former Obama administration official checks that box. For Wiz Politics Midday, sponsored by Spectrum, I'm Pat Pobletti.
This has been Wiz Politics Midday. For more state government and political news, visit wizpolitics.com.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union yes.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You know, for some people think we're being overly personal, Dom.
George.
I step on a few toes. And
come on.
Suddenly they get all butthurt.
George, he tweeted out. You could also tweet us at 844-967-2789 if you don't have the courage to pick up the phone like a lot of the righties. But George did tweet out, thanks for playing, George. Here's what he said. Making fun of Tonette's looks. Look in the mirror, pork chop. I can only assume he's talking to you, Crudy.
I got to give George a little credit. That's a little clever, George. Funny is funny. And I do love me some pork chops.
Well, and I get it. I mean, ripping on people's looks and all, we should do better than that, generally speaking. But let's not forget how the right just went after Mrs. Michelle Obama. Right? They were very, cordial, George? So I'm not saying that, 2 wrongs make a right, but were you being as critical of all your righty friends when they're going after the former First Lady?
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
Right! That's your president, George.
George does make a keen observation. We do have a little beef on the panel. Me and Fancy Brian, at least.
Yeah, wow.
For the record, I'm basically the size of the 2 of you combined.
Yes. Well, I'm the beef and Dom's the pastry. A little puffy around the edges.
And I'm a full meal, buddy.
As mentioned, Scott Walker, he'll be filling in on Righty Whitey Talk Radio tomorrow afternoon, going head-to-head with us. It won't even be close.
He will lose. We have a very special guest tomorrow.
Yeah, tell the people all about our fine guest tomorrow.
Greg Palast. He's coming on the show tomorrow. Investigator, well-known journalist, going to join us at 3:30 till 4 o'clock tomorrow. First time on the show. Super excited to get him on. Make sure you turn in to these fine radio stations to check out that interview.
Tune in and turn in. And I would point out, Greg Palast has accused Scott Walker, historically speaking, if memory serves, Dom, he used exit polling and demonstrated Scott Walker probably cheated his way through about 3 elections in the state of Wisconsin.
And Palast not the only one to suggest that.
Roger Stone.
Stone has also,
Donald Trump's fixer also has suggested that. But, Dom, we made an invitation to a fine guest today and yesterday a couple times, and he's turned us down. In fact, he went to the effort of writing us a declination that he posted on his so highly trafficked website, Righty Whitey, Wisconsin. James Widgerson, your buddy, the svelte one.
Widge.
She's a great big fat person.
The Widge.
An invitation will decline. Should I read it, Tom?
Please,
I
man.
think he's talking to you.
I don't know if I can get through it. It struck me so.
It's a little hurtful. I received a request to appear on the Devil's Advocates Radio, a left-wing radio talk show. Some say the greatest radio show ever, Dom. I don't normally answer media requests publicly.
You probably don't get a whole lot of them, Widge.
Yeah, we've asked him twice in our history, Dom.
He said no.
But I think this request goes to my bigger concerns. Do you think there was a pun intended there? About civility in politics.
Oh, lay it on me, Republicans.
So the request and my reply are below. And I would point out, someone posted on our page before, hey, James, we're not laughing with you. ... Good morning, James. Here's you, Dom. Very cordial.
Yes, very cordial. I sent an email and also, shot him a direct message on Twitter.
We invite, and I don't think the we part's so true.
The royal we.
The royal we. We invite you to have a discussion with us on the radio regarding fascism, socialism, racism, conservatism, politics, Trump current events, etc. We air 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. You know that. You're listening now, and usually do 12 to 15-minute phone interviews. Longer if in studio. Please advise. Regards, Dominic Salvia, co-host of the greatest radio show ever.
What a very nice professional interview request, I must say myself.
Now, he writes to you, apparently. Dominic, I assume this is in response to a Twitter exchange on August 20th here and here. We've talked about that. Given the tone and vocabulary of the Devil's radio tweets, I'd point out you're the profane tweeter.
Well, that'll happen.
Calling me an effer and former Governor Scott Walker a fascist. Isn't that also an effer?
A couple of F words.
I hardly believe that it would be possible to have a civil discussion of any of the above topics on your program. Perhaps a civil discussion would be possible if you could refrain from calling Walker a fascist or me some other name, but I doubt this within you or your co-host capabilities. We apparently, according to, righty-whitey talk, well, I guess he's not a talker, unless Walker's having him on to talk tomorrow.
Oh, maybe.
Righty-whitey opinionated blogger, James Widgerson. I'd point out to you, and I said this to you off air, Dom, we are punching down here. You realize this, right?
I'm just having conversations, man. If it's not the Widge, it's another Republican, it's another conservative. It really doesn't matter who it is this particular moment. It's the Widge, and he's just the vessel for this conversation. So please continue.
Well, he casting doubt upon our capabilities to restrain ourselves and be civil, Dom.
But we barely swear on the radio.
But even assuming that such restraint is possible, I would have to be an idiot to go on a radio program that called me a racist, air quotes, just last September. After you and your co-host said that about me, you asked me to appear on your program to defend myself. My answer then still applies today. To call me a racist as a host on this program did online, that's crudy. And then to ask me on for an interview is such a ridiculous request that it was easily ignored. I'm owed an apology, not a request for an interview, from someone who clearly has no interest in the truth. My decision to decline to appear on your program stands. Consider it a blow for decency, says James Widgerson.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? If I thought you were my friend,
Wisconsin.
I just don't think I could bear it.
So anyways, that's what he wrote down. And, I've honored his request. My friend.
I can't believe you apologized to him, Crudy.
I did. I issued a public apology. I posted it on our Facebook page. I did call him a racist, and I did apologize for such. As I've headlined my response, Devil's Advocates apology to racist, #racist, James Widgerson at #righty-whitey Wisconsin. James, I'm sorry that when you made racist statements that you were unable or unwilling to defend on air, I described you as a racist. Calling you fat or saying you'd probably die in a toilet would be a personal attack. Calling you a racist is simply observing and reporting your bigoted statements in proper context. You are perceived as a racist when you say racist things. James equals hashtag racist, exclamation point. As for Dom calling you an effer, pretty sure that one's a sorry not sorry scenario. And then I published it with his piece. So, as mentioned before, Dom, it's not so much that we're laughing with James, is laughing at him. It's Lockworthy.
The racist thing, let's address that briefly. This is from the Journal Sentinel. I guess this would have been back last year, September 11th. Yep.
When the bigoted James Widgerson said racist things, and I called his ass out on it.
You and others. MPS rebukes conservative writer who called students little convicts in column about new athletic fields. The upgrades were being made, Widgerson says, quote, presumably so the little convicts can have the best facilities before being sent to the penitentiary, unquote.
Well, it also could be somebody sitting on their bed that weighs 400 pounds, okay?
All right, so that's what he said, and it was in the news back then, and we commented on it, and those seem to be very racist statements, and, you have the opportunity to, back them up or to apologize, defend yourself, whatever. I mean, you're going to say things, you should be able to talk about them. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut. All right, so let's fast forward to today, Crudy, and I appreciate you, man. You're like my big brother, man, sticking up for me. But I also had to reply to the Widge.
And what'd you say?
Well, let's.
I didn't even pay attention to your response.
Let's just go back and give a little context. And this goes back to the Scott Walker thing. And Scott Walker just 2 short days ago tweeted out, "We are for free stuff, free speech, free press, free assembly, free enterprise, free practice of religion, freedom." And I said, hey, Scott Walker, don't you mean freedom? From when you arrested a free press engaged in free enterprise, documenting a free assembly, exercising their free speech rights. So just a little, whatever. Hypocrite much?
Little trolling of the Wankinators Twitter stream.
And certainly appropriate.
That.
I mean, being arrested by this man, it has stung me a little bit, Crudy. I'm still a little raw about it. So
I can take on 100,000 protesters. I can do the same across the world.
So here comes the Widge. He inserts himself. No response from Scott Walker. Heavens, no. The Widge comes out and starts talking trash. Speaking of Walker derangement syndrome, Lefty Talk Radio confuses Wisconsin for Venezuela. Okay, Widge. And I just responded, because it's all on the Twitter stream, but I'll just read it for posterity's sake. Hey, effer, I cashed a $75,000 settlement check from the state of Wisconsin because of the Wist GOP Scott Walker fascism. Bring that S to me, man. That's like an invitation.
A bit snitty.
Perhaps a bit, but you can read between the lines. And I give him the number and take it out. And then now, of course, and some other people jump in, and there's some back and forth on the social media. And then, of course, we heard James today decline, once again, a very professional invitation to appear on this program to defend fascism and conservatism and fiscal conservatism, politics, Trump, whatever. And a lot of these writings, and Widgerson's one of them. Oh, we didn't vote for Trump. Yeah, but you know what? If you didn't vote for Trump, you didn't support Trump. Number one, I'm not clear if you voted for Trump or not, but he's saying he did not support Trump. Oh, okay. But did you support Johnson? Did you support the GOP? Do you support those that support Trump? Because there's really not much of a difference in my mind. So anyway, what does he say? Crudy, you and I cannot be civil. He can't trust that we could be civil. Civil. He's so concerned about civility. So my reply to James Widgerson at Right Wisconsin. He interjects himself into my conversation, calls me deranged, confused, questions my geography and geopolitical awareness, along with my ability to spell, comprehend simple words, and then declines an interview claiming I am not civil enough because I used the F word. The dude stepped into my conversation right away, calls me deranged. And now he's telling me I'm not being civil? Son,
now,
please.
Dominic, I've known you for 25 plus years, and as far as I can tell, you use effer as a term of endearment.
Depends. In this case, it was not.
And on your social media post, someone commented, the most recent one, yo, can I get on the show? I work in politics, and I like to pick fights.
Sure, man. 844-967-2789. We take on all comers. And
Sounds nice. It's not nice.
If the Widge isn't going to be it, okay, man, whatever. I don't know why you're there. You don't want to, have a little conversation.
I don't know why you invited him. You were speaking for the singular portion of the panel when you invited the man. I really feel like, I appreciate the fact he turned us down, Dom. We were turned down by much better guests. I mean, just today, I got a plethora of guests much better than Widgerson that were, otherwise detained or washing their hair or just thought you were just a little too profane or petty for them, Dom.
They just can't stand the F words, but they're fine to insult me right off the bat. What do you think's going to happen, dude? Come on, stop hiding behind your keyboard.
You know who else is not appearing on this fine show today?
Who?
Tony Evers.
Why not?
He recently went on Righty Whitey Talk Radio.
Yeah.
Yes, he's being quoted in the Journal Sentinel over on WTMJ. Hell, maybe Scott Walker can have you on WISN tomorrow, Tony. Always time for you. Come back with us. We're the Devil's Advocates. It's never personal, only politics. Just having a little fun with you, big guy. 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
He called me fat and said I was going to die on the toilet.
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
I don't give a
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Get in my belly! Come on! I ate a baby!
Fuck that guy.
Christ, he's tiny. I've had bigger chunks of corn in my crap.
Amalgamated Transit Union Local 998 is made up of the drivers and mechanics, professionals in Milwaukee. We keep the buses running all night long and all over the city. I'm one of them. After more than 20 years, I have seen it all, from bad drivers to hostile passengers. Just last week, one of my coworkers had a gun pulled on her. Enough is enough. We get Milwaukee to work. We get them home again. Our working conditions are your safety conditions, and we need help to provide improved safety and security for drivers and passengers. Call Chris Aberly at 414-278-4338 and tell him to stand with ATU 998. Make safety and a fair contract a priority.
This message paid for by ATU Local 998.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union Yes.
Got unwanted pests in your home or business? Call Get Rid Pest Control at 414-368-0696. State licensed and certified with over 20 years experience, Get Rid Pest Control guarantees their work in the removal of common household pests, including mice, rats, ants, roaches, spiders, centipedes, and bedbugs. Humane trapping and removal of larger pests as well. Unmarked vehicles available upon request. 24-hour emergency service available. Call Get Rid Pest Control today for your free estimate. 414-368-0696. If you got it, we'll get it.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're on Twitter, Devil Radio. The phone line's at 844-967-2789. Are we on the Twitter stream as well now, too? Is that live today? All right. Check it out.
It's a wonderful thing. Dominic would have invited the governor, but apparently he has a propensity for the profanity.
Don't tell Widge.
What's up with Governor Tony Evers dropping the BS in a radio interview, apparently on Righty Whitey Talk Radio.
Oh, let me clutch my pearls.
Scott Bauer from the Associated Press, he took note. I read, and I would note, I support Evers in his advocacy, if not his profanity in this case. The argument from Republicans and gun right advocates that universal background checks and red flag laws will lead to the repeal of the Second Amendment right to bear arms is frankly BS, said Governor Tony Evers Thursday. Evers called Republican arguments against the bills irrational and cautioned them against not taking up the measures in a special session, a move the Democratic governor is keeping open as an option. A quote from WTMJ AM Righty Whitey Talk Radio, where apparently Evers finds himself more welcome than here in the bosom of the Devil's Advocates radio show. But I'll read the quote. Gaveling in and gaveling out, essentially just showing up and going home, is something that will affect people's re-election opportunities. Oh, big talker. Evers and Democrats last week introduced a universal background check bill in the wake of mass shootings in Texas and Ohio. I was at that press conference. We covered it here for the show, Dom. They also support a red flag law that would establish a process for a judge to remove guns from a person determined to be a threat to themselves or others. Democrats in Wisconsin, where openly carrying a firearm, totally legal, and across the country are pushing these proposals on the heels of recent mass shootings. But Republicans who control the Wisconsin legislature have shown no interest in taking up the bills, raising concerns about infringing on Second Amendment rights. They, much like Republicans across the country, say the focus should be on mental health and hiding and thoughts and prayers and doing nothing. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald, Republican from Juneau, and Assembly Speaker Robin Voss, Republican from Rochester, Dom, did not immediately return messages seeking comment Thursday.
Voss last week said the proposals were ineffective and very unlikely to be taken up by the legislature. Fitzgerald has said he opposes universal background checks, saying it would violate the Second Amendment.
That's not even close to being true. Please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I know, but what about the current background checks? Are those violating the Constitution? And if so, Fitzgerald, how come you aren't out there with legislation to repeal it?
Hey, you profane hippie communists, you're not even entitled to an opinion. I was glad when Scott Walker had you arrested at the Capitol. That was the right thing to do.
Come on. Evers said he hoped Republicans would come around so he wouldn't have to force the issue by calling a special session, but he's not ruling out the move. We have to take action, Evers said. Evers dismissed arguments from the NRA and other opponents that the laws would lead to the repeal of the Second Amendment. It's a slippery slope, Crudy. It's just, frankly, BS. Excuse me, Evers said. We can't just sit back and say, okay, we're just going to wait for another mass murder. It's too long, too late, and the time is now. He referenced a 2018 Marquette University Law School poll showing more than 80% of respondents support universal background checks. I support the Second Amendment just like everyone else who is advocating for this, Evers said. It's not about taking guns away. It's about doing some simple things that will save lives.
Tony Evers is going to take away your guns.
Scott Bauer of the AP as reported in the Madison.com.
So, first and foremost, I got no big issue with Tony Evers implying a profanity, although he has used them on live microphones before. We've talked about that. He's burned this little radio endeavor.
Well, is there
to dump him?
Is it civility? You know, it's fake civility. You know what I'm saying? When a guy like Widge comes out and says, "Oh, you're deranged. You got Walker derangement syndrome." You know, it's this passive aggressive kind of attitude, and that's supposed to be okay. But if you say BS or you call him the F word and you just get down to it, oh, that's just too much for my sensibilities. And I call BS on that. What kind of conversationalist are you? I mean, do you ever go out in public? Have you never had a conversation, a passionate conversation that involves swear words?
I've hardly ever had one that didn't.
Right.
I mean, the hardest thing we do in radio is restrain ourselves from dropping profanities, like every other word. Like you do in normal conversation.
Exactly. 844.
Especially around the kids and stuff.
967-2789. I am not a role model. Dick from Madison, you're up. What do you got for us? Hello, Dick.
Oh, hey.
Hey, there
Sorry
you
about
are.
that, guys.
It's your effing time, Dick. Get up. Get ready for the phone call.
How about some civility here?
Please.
I can't even remember what I was going to say. Hey, tomorrow when the locker is filling in tomorrow, what's the chances I'll get through if I call as David Cope?
Oh, nice. You know, probably 50-50. Probably 50-50.
Yeah. What do you think?
Give the old
Best
Ian
bumper
Murphy
sticker
try,
of the
man.
day, too.
What's that?
I'm an extremely stable genius. I didn't vote for him.
Nice.
I just saw it driving through Willie Street. Love it.
Love it.
No, I think there's a good chance a guy would get through. You know, that's where he's at. Or who else is he pilfering
But here's
money from?
Dick, you know what you do? I mean, in good radio or good humor, self-deprecating, you take the call. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you know, just because he got burned last time and a monumental burn. What was it? Ian, right? What's his name? The late
Ian Murphy.
The
now departed Ian Murphy. Yes.
What a fantastic job he did. He came on the show after that more than once, and it was just a tremendous effort, and really shows. I mean, Scott Walker literally told him that he contemplated putting troublemakers in the crowd. The governor of the state of Wisconsin act like he was going to throw some ruffians in the crowd to shake it up a little bit. What? I mean, the fact that even okay, whatever. You
Not
got
only
burned.
a horror, but also a provocateur.
So you got burned.
Yeah.
But if someone called in dicks like that, a good radio host would take that call and play with it. Because what else are you going to do? You're going to continue to run your whole life?
Exactly.
I hear Scott
That's
Walker
what he should do, but he wouldn't. You know he wouldn't.
No, thanks, Dick. Appreciate it.
I heard Scott Walker was fast in high school. He ran track.
Yeah, and he's an Eagle
I heard
Scout.
he got like third in his conference or something. And just for the record, Tony Evers, plenty profane. I have had an up close and personal profane Tony Evers experience, not on the radio, but I can tell you he can swear with the best of them. He's like a sailor on leave when he really lets you have it. But you gotta be a good friend, you know. You gotta be close to the man, like I am. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
Want to see the super sexiest political show on earth? Check out the Devil's Advocates on YouTube.
I used to run track.
Problems with your commercial building? Looking to build out? Bachman Construction is your one-stop full-service design-build contractor. From office space to restaurants, production warehouse space, and everything in between, our staff is experienced in a variety of small business projects. At Bachman Construction, we work to exceed your expectations, never cut corners. Bachman provides your project with quality construction throughout, regardless the size. Contact Bachman Construction and let us know how we can create a better value for your space today.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Robocall strategy. Deadly plot stopped. I'm Mike Moss. Many of the nation's state attorneys general have a plan to cut back on the estimated 5 billion robocalls that American consumers get every month. North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein.
There is more that the phone companies can do to protect us and shield us from these unwanted phone calls. So we reached out to industry leaders and engaged in an extended dialogue to identify ways to better protect our constituents and their customers.
Many of the largest phone companies have agreed to offer call blocking tools for free to customers. They also say they will stop many of the calls at the network level. President Trump has changed his mind about his threat to cut billions of dollars in foreign aid. Correspondent Bob Costantini at the White House.
The president's chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, had pushed for the cuts, and a senior administration official is saying the president has been clear that there is fat in our foreign assistance, and we need to be wise about where U.S. money is going. He adds, it's clear that there are those on the Hill who aren't willing to join in curbing wasteful spending, and that would have to mean Republicans as well as Democrats.
Police think they foiled a plot for a mass killing in Southern California. Correspondent Nick Watt says they've arrested a hotel cook who had threatened to stage the attack and have found he had the means to do it.
In that cache, there were assault rifles that are not legal here in California. There were high-capacity magazines, also illegal here in California. There was tactical gear, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, enough to carry out a huge mass casualty event.
Florida is set to execute a man known as the I-95 killer who was convicted of killing 3 and admitted to killing several more. 57-year-old Gary Ray Bowles is scheduled for execution in the next hour. The Dow up 49. I'm Mike Moss.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union yes.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and my family owns Madison Liquidators. We've officially moved into our new space off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and we're excited to announce that Madison Liquidators is now Dane County's premier dealer for Groupe Lacoste. In addition to their unbeatable 25-year warranty, Groupe Lacoste has 10 lines to choose from, ranging from traditional to ultra-modern, all available in 18 different finishes. Give me a call and let's make a plan for your space, or go online to madisonliquidators.com and shop our complete inventory of used office furniture.
The sunken luxury liner Titanic was visited by divers for the first time in 14 years. Ocean explorer Tim Taylor says it's not surprising the shipwreck is decaying after all these years.
Submarines that we found in the recent years all have the same type of decay. Mother Nature claims things back, and that's what happens, whether it's terrestrial or underwater. This just happens to be a unique bacteria that eats metal or iron.
2,200 people died when the Titanic sunk in 1912. A judge has sentenced an Oklahoma man to life in prison plus nearly 150 years more for hiding cameras in homes to capture images of girls. The judge said she would have ordered his castration if the law allowed for it. Ryan Olden pleaded guilty in June to 28 felonies, including creating child pornography, aggravated possession of obscene material, and distribution of it. I'm Mike Moss.
Does your Five9's, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy Five9s.com.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. That means it could be you, your best man, your worst man. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org to know where you stand. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez, I got to ask you, in what percentage did the fact that Real Resistance Radio, WRD 1510, the fact that you can come after bar with us on Brady Street, Tom, how much did that factor into the site selection of Milwaukee, sir?
There's that old saying, what's good for General Motors is good for America. What's good for Resistance Radio is good for Wisconsin and good for America. So it was huge.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. For WRD and WTTN, my name is Brian Kelly with your headlines. A Milwaukee police officer has been charged with domestic violence in Waukesha County. 37-year-old Matthew Schulze has been released on a $2,500 signature bond after pleading not guilty to 2 counts of disorderly conduct and 1 count of battery. The 3 misdemeanors all have domestic abuse modifiers. Schulze is ordered to have no contact with his wife, not possess any firearms, and to stay out of New Berlin. Schulze's wife is reporting years of abuse, including closed-fist punches, and that Schulze warned her not to report him for fear of losing his job. Officer Schulze is currently on paid suspension. Highs today in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies. Overnight low of 62 in Milwaukee and 55 in Madison. Friday highs again in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates radio show. No, Dom, it's not Friday yet, but it's almost here.
It's getting there.
Friday Eve. I know it's the toughest day. It's like Christmas Eve for you. Your expectations so high, always working for the weekends. Well, Dom, I got a little good news for you to start the hour.
All right.
I know that you don't like Donald Trump very much.
No.
And I know that I don't care for Donald Trump either. But it's reassuring to see that the vast majority of the American people, they agree with us. Trump has 62% disapproval rating in a new Associated Press poll.
Oof.
I'm going to read briefly. TheHill.com, we found this. The majority of Americans in a new poll disapprove of President Trump's overall performance, despite greater support for the president's handling of the economy than other issues in the survey. Well, you know, there's been some bad economic news of late, too, Don. That could change rapidly. But here's the survey results. 62% of Americans said they disapprove of the job Trump is doing, while just 36% approve. According to the Associated Press ORC, Center for Public Affairs research poll released Thursday. That's today. While low compared to former President Obama and any other human being, really, Trump's latest approval ratings is relatively consistent with the polling results seen throughout his first term. Trump's approval rating has stayed between 32 and 42% throughout his time in office, the AP noted, amid fears of a recession, which Trump and the administration officials have dismissed. Of course they have, Dom. 46% of Americans now approve of Trump's handling of the economy based on the poll. So the best they can say about him is that less than half the people agree with this handling of the economy. And let's not forget, you know, we've got very low unemployment, very high Dow Jones, lots of positive economic indicators, you know, a few gray skies on the horizon, but let's not look out that far, Dom. But up until now, it's been good times for the American people, at least economically. In the best category in this polling, the economy is at 46%. I think this president is in real trouble, Dom. In fact, I think he should get primaried.
Crudy, it's ironic that you mentioned that. Also from the Hill, Joe Walsh expected to announce presidential run. Well, he's not leaving the Eagles, is he? Former Rep. Joe Walsh, a Republican from Illinois, is reportedly expected to announce his candidacy for president, becoming the second prominent Republican to challenge President Trump for the party's nomination.
I wish you weren't a liar.
The New York Times reported Wednesday that Walsh, now a radio host, which now means that once a radio host, you are now qualified to do anything.
Super qualified. Tremendously qualified.
Some people would say overqualified. People are talking about it. It's a really big deal. Now a radio host will announce his candidacy as early as the weekend. Walsh argued in an op-ed for the newspaper last week that the president needed a primary challenge from the right, and told the Times in an interview that he would announce his intentions before Labor Day. Walsh would join former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, who announced his candidacy earlier this year, as the second Republican challenger to mount the long shot challenge against Trump, whose approval rating among Republicans has hovered above 50% since he took office in 2017. The former congressman supported Trump during the 2016 election, but has hammered the president for his conduct in the years that followed. Earlier this year, he sharply criticized Trump over behavior outlined in the Mueller report that detailed the results of the special counsel's investigation into the Trump campaign. Here's what he told CNN's Brooke Baldwin. I don't know how anybody can read this report and think this is behavior that we want in our president. Criminal behavior? Who knows? But boy, dishonest, immoral, unethical, ? Heck yes, it is. And I'll tell you, Brooke, every Republican on Capitol Hill agrees with what I just said. They can't say that publicly. Walsh previously served one term in Congress as the Tea Party-aligned Republican and swiped at Weld as a centrist earlier this month in a Times op-ed. The president is more vulnerable to a challenge from the right. I'm on the right, and I'm hugely disappointed that challenge hasn't yet materialized, Walsh wrote at the time.
Hey, Dominic, you remember that one time I was on Fox News?
Yeah, I remember that one time. You sold out.
With Republican presidential hopeful Joe Walsh. And I made him stutter. What was the topic of his stuttering, Dom? Well, it was trying to defend Donald Trump's tax cuts.
Oh, that's right. This is back when Walsh was still a Trumpster. He was still supportive of Trump.
This was back in 2017, and Fancy Brian shared the interview with me, so I shared it with the entirety of our audience out there at the Facebooks. If you forgot the time Crudy went on Foxy News, and man, was I good looking and super relevant, and I made Joe Walsh stutter. Let's play just a little snippet. You can watch the entire interview. I mean, it only went like 4 to 6 minutes. Find it on the Facebook page at Devil Advocates Radio. But Fancy Brian, gonna need your help. Let's do yours truly, making presidential candidate, former congressman, and most importantly, talk radio host Joe Walsh, making the man stutter. Play it for the people, Fancy.
The quote-unquote resistance, and I count myself amongst the resistance.
Well, Mike, he already said that he doesn't want tax cuts for the rich. He said it's not going to be about the rich. It's going to be about the middle class.
He says lots of things, Leland.
So you don't take him at his word now?
Sir.
You don't take him at his word?
No, I never did. I never did.
And Joe?
Look, I think when it comes to tax reform, he better cut taxes for everybody, and I think that's what he'll do.
All right.
I think I was right. Joe, I think you were stuttering for a reason because, of course, sir, you were wrong. The tax cuts, they have ballooned the deficits, and they've primarily seen the money flow to the very richest, Tom.
Unquestioned now. I mean, you cannot deny that. And so, but here, I would say this, and I don't know, I mean, I got to assume Joe's Joe, and he's going to be for all the same kinds of legislation and philosophies that Republicans have, perhaps minus the, more controversial issues socially that Trump has brought up. Maybe. I don't know. But I do appreciate the fact that there's Joe from the right, apparently, Weld from the middle of the... somebody stand up and challenge this guy. I respect them for that, if that alone.
Well, Dominic, I would point out, Joe Walsh, effectively, he's deplorable in his own right. I got a little Washington Post piece. I'll read a little of Aaron Blake. Former Congressman Joe Walsh is preparing to challenge President Trump in the 2020 primaries, as the Washington Post reported early Wednesday. Later in the day, the New York Times added that Walsh could announce his candidacy as early as this weekend. Think he'll come on this radio show, Dom? And that he's getting a high-profile push from within the Never Trump community. It's difficult to overstate how questionable this idea is for everybody involved. The Times reports that the push is coming from Bill Kristol. You know that guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan. I read, Mr. Kristol has been a Never Trump Republican since Mr. Trump was elected in 2016 and has been working hard over the past year to recruit someone to run against him. Mr. Kristol said Mr. Walsh's comfort with the in-your-face format of righty-whitey talk radio makes him potentially more effective combatant against Mr. Trump than someone like William Weld, the genteel former governor of Massachusetts, whose own primary challenge to the president has gained little traction. Here's a quote. He has a different appeal than Bill Weld, Mr. Kristol said. The fact that he is a Tea Party congressman who voted for Trump in 2016 gives him an ability to speak to Republican primary voters that never Trumpers like me don't have. Now back to Aaron Blake's writing. That's certainly some optimistic spin. Walsh doesn't just have experience with conservative talk radio and Trump support. He inhibited the fever swamps of birtherism and anti-Muslim rhetoric and conspiracy theories as recently as a couple years ago. The one-term congressman also tweeted the N-word on several occasions, and he has significant personal baggage, unlike Trump.
Come on. The bar has been lowered.
Peter J. Hassan pulled out a number of examples of Walsh's tweets Wednesday night. They include the falsehood that Obama is a Muslim, employ the racist trope that he should go back to someplace other than the United States, and make frequent uses of ethnic slurs. Here's a couple from Joe Walsh. Obama is a Muslim. Happy New Year! Exclamation point. That's how he, closed down 2016 and welcome 2017, Dom. Here's another one from Joe Walsh. Obama never let a voter feel his birth certificate. Trump has a woman feel his hair to prove it's no toupee. You get the relevance? Question mark. Here's another fine offering from Joe Walsh's Twitter stream. Found out if I said Redskins or Cracker or Redneck Bible Thumper, I could stay on. But if I said, and he drops the N-word, or he uses another epithet for Latinos, they cut me off. Yeah, that's strange how that works. You can't be totally bigoted on the radio, Joe. One more. Once again, blacks in America try to burn their own neighborhood down. Setting fire to businesses in your own neighborhood accomplishes what? Anyways, you get the sense. He's a little deplorable in his own right.
Well, then he fits right in with the new Trump GOP.
And this is just the tweets. Walsh has also been a radio host in recent years. Imagine what he said there that we don't have a ready-made transcript of. We already know that he briefly pulled off the air for similar to above, saying racial slurs while discussing racial slurs. And then there's the matter of child support that the married, he failed to pay his child support to the tune of $117,000. Later, he reached a settlement. The anti-Trump resistance has often been accused by Trump supporters and others of frivolously elevating pretty much any Republican who's willing to take shots at the president. We're seeing that argument most recently in the form of Anthony Scaramucci, the former 10-day presidential White House communications director, whose publicity hounding and recent 180 on Trump have earned him another 10 days in the spotlight. But the most transparent manifestation of this tendency might be Walsh, whose tweets will frequently go viral when he bashes Trump. Even a former Tea Party congressman is saying this. Perhaps nobody has gotten more mileage out of winning a single term in Congress. But even back then, Walsh was largely regarded as a fluke, someone who rode the 2010 wave into a seat he was never going to hold. His campaign was badly underfunded and disorganized, yet he emerged from a crowded primary field and found himself running in exactly the right year. Illinois Democrats redrew the districts before the 2012 election, and Walsh found himself without a winnable seat. Though it would have been tough for him to hold his old district had it remained as it was. He has since parlayed that brief tenure and a penchant for provocation into a career as a radio host. Fortunately, pronunciation is hopefully not a big requirement of that.
Having a grasp
job,
of the language is not necessary at all. You can work around that. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing,
just make up my own words.
What I'm hearing is that he's pretty much the same kind of guy as Trump.
He's deplorable, absolutely. And he's in your face, and he's insulting, and he's bigoted, and he's xenophobic, and he's anti-Muslim, and of course he's all down with birtherism. But in a Charlie Sykes-like confession, he said, I changed my mind, forget everything I did for the prior years of my career. and just judge me now as I go forward.
What qualifies him more to be president of the United States? 2 years in Congress or being a radio host?
I think it's the latter.
I would agree.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates, perhaps the most qualified politicians in America. You should vote for us. Doesn't even matter what office. Don might run for Congress in Illinois. Backfill in the Joe Walsh sheet. Hell, you might run for president. Run, Tom, run. No, really, start running. Getting kind of puffy. 844-967-2789.
I CrossFit, man.
More Devil's Advocates on the other side, perhaps with your phone calls.
Come on, Walsh. We don't have all day.
When it comes to tax reform, he better cut taxes for everybody, and I think that's what he'll do.
You're wrong. I wish you weren't a liar.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union Yes.
Got unwanted pests in your home or business? Call Get Rid Pest Control at 414-368-0696. State licensed and certified with over 20 years experience, Get Rid Pest Control guarantees their work in the removal of common household pests, including mice, rats, ants, roaches, spiders, centipedes, and bedbugs. Humane trapping and removal of larger pests as well. Unmarked vehicles available upon request. 24-hour emergency service available. Call Get Rid Pest Control today for your free estimate. 414-368-0696. If you got it, we'll get it.
We the people, the hardworking 99% of men and women, only have a voice when we join together as one and amplify our message. Now is the time for all Wisconsinites to join We the People and raise our voices. Do you feel like you are wasting your money funding unaccountable consultants, unresponsive candidates, and their campaigns? Help us do something that really matters. Please join We the People. Give what you can so we can support progressive radio stations like this one, using the public airwaves to educate Wisconsin about what we the people want for our state and remind Wisconsin's politicians that they work for us. Your donations to We the People at p4ppc.org, a registered, compliant IRS 501c3, will always be tax deductible, will always remain anonymous, and We the People pledge to spend 100% of donations educating Wisconsin on the issues our donors want discussed, giving individuals a voice in the collective message of We the People. Please give today at p4ppc.org. That's p4ppc.org. We the People need you.
Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can see us streaming the video out on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. You can check us out on the phones at 844-967-2789, or you can text in that same number if you don't want to talk on the radio.
Calling me a pork chop, George.
George.
George is conservative, right?
I would assume so, yes.
Do you think he's a Trump conservative, or do you think he'd give Joe Walsh a chance?
I think
some other deplorable.
That's a great question, George. Let us know. Conservatives, would you consider voting for either, Bill Weld or Joe Walsh?
Come on, George. You know he's all down for some Donald Trump.
Of course, the economy, and Trump does best on the economy. With Republicans,
that's a very relative thing, but please continue.
Well, certainly it is, and but by now, 2 years in, it's his economy. And granted, he was handed something perhaps a little different than what Barack Obama was handed.
Do you think?
So you can ride the wave. Anybody. I guess what this means is you can show up and BS for 18, 24 months, and nothing too bad perhaps will happen. But now. It gets a little concerning. This one from yesterday, Market Watch. U.S. created 500,000 fewer jobs since 2018 than previously reported. Turns out hiring wasn't nearly as strong in 2018 and early 2019 as the government initially reported, by 500,000 jobs, 501,000 fewer jobs as of March 2019 than the BLS initially calculated in its survey for business establishments. That's the largest revision since the waning stages of the Great Recession of 2009.
Now, Dom, I saw a different headline characterizing this revision, this massive revision, differently. Of all the reported jobs since Donald Trump has been the president, 1 out of 11 jobs, just under 10%, have been falsely overinflated. We have overinflated the jobs numbers by nearly 10% under Donald Trump. That's what this revision shows. That's a big revision. 10%? I mean, what if it was your profit margin? Sorry, got the numbers wrong. We're going to revise your profit downward
10%.
By 10% off the top.
Right.
What profit margin, right? What room for error? I don't think. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I would just say this. I mean, I think
Sorry to
Scott
interrupt.
Walker did the same kind of thing here in the state of Wisconsin, and they go back and hopefully no one will see the revisions. But look, it is what it is. And unless you're going to tell me it's the deep state and the BLS, and the final survey, the big survey is wrong, we're revising downward 10%, Curdy says. Also today, from the Wall Street Journal, U.S. government bonds send warning about slowing growth. And let me read briefly. U.S. government bonds sent a fresh warning about the economy Thursday today after a report showed that manufacturing activity slowed this month to the lowest in almost 10 years. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note was at almost 1.6%. Compared with 1.577 Wednesday. The yield on the 10-year note briefly fell below the yield on the 2-year note, Crudy. Again, an inverted yield curve. This is also problematic. Manufacturing indexes, Crudy, fell to 49.9 from 50.4, while the measure of services activity declined to 50.9 from 52.6 last month. That data led the yield on the 10-year note to fall below the yield on the 2-year note, I believe at least the second time, perhaps the third time in recent weeks. I mean, that's not good. I'm not rooting for a bad economy. I'm just reading, the newspaper here. 500,000 jobs revised downward. Manufacturing activity, lowest it's been in 10 years, and a second or perhaps third inverted yield curve in as many weeks. That does not portend for a strong economy. And of course, Donald Trump all over the board. Tax cuts, payroll tax cuts. Yes, no, we got a great economy. We're doing okay. I think this is adding more confusion to his already rattled mind.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Love it when you join this fine show at 844-967-2789. Calls and even texts. It all works here. It's all good. We'll be right back.
Want to be more presidential? Tweet the Devil's Advocates at Devil Radio.
Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I thought it was really important to share with people my diagnosis of cancer. The Affordable Care Act is the kind of thing that's going to keep me alive for a long, long time. Why? Because they can't throw me off of my health insurance simply because I have cancer. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare provided for that. They can't raise my rates and my premiums so high beyond community rating and beyond age rating. Obamacare created that. They can't cap the amount of benefits that they are willing to give me over a lifetime. I have medicine that costs $18,000 a month. They can't force me to pay out-of-pocket costs beyond a certain point. All of that happened because of Obamacare. Thank you, Obama.
You can listen to the Devil's Advocates interviews at domandcroot.com. Click on the podcast tab and select interviews. That's domandcroot.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Amalgamated Transit Union Local 998 is made up of the drivers and mechanics, professionals in Milwaukee. We keep the buses running all night long and all over the city. I'm one of them. After more than 20 years, I've seen it all, from bad drivers to hostile passengers. Just last week, one of my coworkers had a gun pulled on her. Enough is enough. We get Milwaukee to work. We get them home again. Our working conditions are your safety conditions, and we need help to provide improved safety and security for drivers and passengers. Call Chris Aberly at 414-278-4338 and tell him to stand with ATU 998. Make safety and a fair contract a priority.
This message paid for by ATU Local 998.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union yes.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
For WRRD and WTTN, my name is Brian Kelly with your headlines. Former Milwaukee attorney Alan Eisenberg has passed away. Famous for his red hat and abrasive personality, Eisenberg was also an umpire, a newspaper editor, radio host, real estate broker, animal rights activist, and candidate for governor. According to the Journal Sentinel, several lawyers were contacted but refused to comment on his passing, not wishing to speak ill of the dead. The Wisconsin delegation for the 2020 Democratic Convention have drawn the Ambassador Hotel for their headquarters. The 1920s Art Deco-style hotel is just under 2 miles from the Fiserv Forum. Highs today in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies, overnight lows of 62 in Milwaukee and 55 in Madison. Friday highs again in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's Political Talk.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We're going to go to the phones in just a minute, 844-967-2789. But, I got to tell the audience a little story.
All right.
I like to live my life aloud on the radio. You know, I'm just out there living it, trying to gather good stories to come back and tell you people on the radio.
Is that what it is? Everything's a write-off then.
It's a write-off. It's all a write-off, Jerry. So I'm sitting here and thinking, you know, in my head for just a few minutes during the commercial break, and I'm like, oh, man, what do I got to do after work today?
You don't even know what a write-off is.
And then I thought back, oh, what did I do after work yesterday? I felt like something important was on my to-do list. Oh, yeah, my wife had been complaining back at the house. We got a ranch-style house in Middleton. Back at the house, the gutters overflowing with something, crap, leaves, and even plants growing out of the gutters.
Come on, man.
I cleaned them out in the fall, and so my wife, you know, shaking a fist at me, you're going to have to call somebody. Which is how she insults me into getting off my ass and going and doing something. You know, you're going to have to call somebody.
Because you can't do it?
That's the implication. And she knows I'm a cheap bastard, right? You know, I don't want to pay someone to do something that I can readily do. You know, maybe I can Tom Sawyer sucker someone into it. But in this case, no kids around, no one that wanted to climb up and clean out my eaves troughs. So I get home last night and I'm beat the wife home, feeling pretty good about myself. And lately, she's not been parking in the garage. So I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to park right in front of the garage. I'm going to park my car in the driveway for a change. And then I go in the garage and I get out my ladder. And I climb up, you know, I get like one rubber glove. Because I got to clean out this mucky mess.
One glove? Like Michael Jackson style?
Yeah. Yeah, like, beat it. So anyways, I go climbing up on the roof, and, this year I'm like, oh, God, I don't remember struggling quite so much to climb off the ladder and climb onto the roof. Historically speaking, I've done this a few years in a row. And now I don't go around the exterior of the house on the ladder. Now I just screw it. I'm going up on the top of the roof. That worked out so well for the widow Hendricks's former husband. I think he was a splat at some point in his life. But anyways, I'm much healthier and, far more spry.
What?
So I went, walking over my roof, and it's a relatively low pitch, flat roof. It's not flat, but, low pitch. Not a lot of angle on it. So I go clean out the eaves troughs, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Get it done in record time, probably 20 minutes, under a half an hour. I got the whole back of the house cleaned up. And then I go back around to the front of the house. I realize I've made a really big mistake, Dom. I didn't raise the ladder enough this time. And perhaps that's why I struggled so to ascend from the ladder top up onto my roof. So anyways, hadn't raised the ladder enough. And I'm like, oh man, now I'm in trouble. Now I got to solve this problem. And I'm looking, I got my shiny red midlife crisis sports car sitting in the driveway. And I got this ladder at its, up to the top. I'm thinking, well, if I miss and I kick the ladder, I'm going to crash it into the sports car. And if I screw up and, I just fall off the ladder.
You're going to fall from the roof.
I'm liable to kill myself. So anyways, I'm up on the roof. And
so you're basically trapped on the roof.
I have trapped myself on the roof. And, if I hadn't mentioned prior, my wife was not home yet. So I couldn't even, jump on the roof. Hey, honey, help. No one to help me. So I tried calling my wife one time, no answer. Second time, no answer. Finally, I called my oldest son, and I'm like, where's Mom? She's vacuuming, vacuuming out the car. They must be at the car wash. I'm like, hey, talk to her? Well, you know how she gets, Dad. I'm like, just to ask her. Now I'm getting a little irritated. I had texted you as well. You were thinking this was funny stuff, man. You were having a good belly laugh. LOL, he texts back.
Come on, how many? You can send me a picture from the roof. I'm like, well, you got a convertible. It's kind of like a trampoline-looking top, or there's a big bush you could, kind of flying squirrel into it. See if
I nearly arrived at that conclusion. My neighbor, immediately to the left of my house, right if you face from the front sidewalk, he's got this big honking bush. It's huge. It's giant, this bush. And it looks big and relatively soft. And I'm thinking to myself, if I just get a little momentum going, I could run and I just, jump out like a bat or a flying squirrel, Rocky and Bullwinkle style. And I could land in that bush. And then, I might tumble a little bit, but at least I'd be safe.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
So the roof was only like 10 feet high. I probably could have jumped down, maybe sprained an ankle or maybe broken one. Didn't want to do that. Certainly didn't want to hurt the pristine red car. So eventually the wife got home, but I was trapped on the roof, I'd say a good 45 minutes now.
I'm a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
I was entertaining it in my mind. And if I was not so clumsy, I probably, maybe, I'd have endeavored to jump in the neighbor bush. And it all seemed good. And I even took a photo and I laughed. I'm going to jump in the bush. And then, like half an hour later, after my wife raised the ladder and allowed me to climb down, I texted you back. I made it. But I went down on ground level. That would have been about a 15-foot air gap. And it wouldn't have been precisely a flat surface, right? I would have had to run down the angled.
Right.
And what's the likelihood Crudy would have gotten maximum leapage off the roof and just soared into the air? Let the eagle soar. Soar as they've never soared before. Jump into the bush and not, wounded myself or perhaps impaled myself on one of the branches.
Zero likelihood of that happening.
So in all, when it's time to clean out the gutters, I'm going to send one of the teenagers up there next time.
Let the mighty eagle soar.
John Ashcroft, he knew, Dom. He knew. So anyways, that's what I did after work last night. I wonder what today has in store.
You got stuck on the roof. Good story, Crudy. 844.
I thought I'd share it with you in the audience.
967
Thank God I'm
2789.
safe.
You're safe. Betsy, he's safe. Welcome back to the show. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, Crudy, you made it. Yay. Good job, man.
That was so close.
Yes.
That could have
I
been
was
tragic
on the edge
for.
there. I thought, oh my God, don't jump. Jeez, don't. You're crazy, man, you. God, we need you. Don't do that. And don't do that again, okay?
Right. Raise the ladder higher next time, Crudy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's what
You're working
Crudy
too
needs to
hard,
do is
Crudy.
climb on a higher ladder next time. I'll keep that in mind, gentlemen and lady.
Oh, please be safe. God, you're too precious. Oh, really?
In the
my heart is
future,
pounding. What the
I
heck?
will not even
Thanks a
change
lot.
the 9 volts in the smoke detectors. I'll make the wife or a kid climb that ladder.
Oh, wow. Don't do that. Gosh. All right, just be careful.
See,
Life
there's
is
no
dangerous,
right answer. There's no right answer. Either
Right.
I'm a selfish
Really good
bastard for
answer.
making the fam go do it,
Mm-mm.
or I've endangered
Yeah.
my precarious self by
Yeah.
climbing up a ladder.
Or there's
which
option number 3. You hire somebody to do it who's qualified.
Are you implying I'm not qualified to climb a ladder?
No.
I think you just proved that. I mean, you might be now if you took that lesson, put it in your
No.
pocket, and learned from that. But no, apparently you weren't. I mean,
You probably got stoned before you went up there, Trudy. That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
I
probably
plead the
right.
fifth. I
We
plead
all
the
get
fifth. I cannot answer that
Indeed,
question
man.
without incriminating oneself.
Oh,
Up there,
wow. You
standing on
guys-
that roof last night, Betsy, it seemed like it was 20 stories.
Oh, God. You're lucky it wasn't 100 degrees out there. You probably wouldn't have been out there then, but yeah. God, it's hot on the roof, you know? Oh. I'm
Well,
glad
when I'm
you're
up there,
okay.
it's certainly hot on the
Oh,
roof.
Bounce,
Ah, boom,
Right.
boom.
What else you got for us today, Betsy?
Well, I just want to mention you guys are the greatest radio show ever, but besides that, we got to watch Brexit, you guys, because this is big. You know, it's going to be a hard Brexit, more than like. They're just going to break out without a deal, and it's going to,
Betsy,
you know.
I
Yeah.
got to tell you,
What?
yesterday on the show, I'm impressed. You stumped me on 2 different topics, cyanide on wildlife and prisoners released in Louisiana. I'm going to have you doing our research for us. Betsy, you're catching everything.
No,
Sister,
it's
you
not.
just...
It's because of you, Crudy, because you got the greatest radio show ever, and that's how I learned it, see? I don't know
You
this
didn't
stuff
learn
off
those
the-
things from me, Betsy. I was
No,
completely
I
unaware
don't-
until you called me.
Well, I am so glad that we all could share information because we don't. I mean, I get caught up in conspiracy theories too, but honestly, I really do think Donald Trump is a very dangerous man, and he is. He needs help, and we need to help him get out of the Oval Office and save this country because I mean, it's just unbelievable. I can't tell you how much I've changed since he's been president. I'm not a nice person. I'm not, you know, oh, God.
Oh, Betsy, you are a nice person, but you know, like the rest of us, we're all human. We get a little flustered occasionally when we have to get up and read these headlines and live in this reality, knowing that this man, this dangerous human being, who seems to be
He is a
slowly
traitor.
losing it more and more and more. And yes, there's all sorts of things to consider, Betsy. But it grinds on us, right? I mean, it's perfectly natural. You're not a bad person.
It's nonstop. Well, it sure does bring out the ugly.
Nah.
And this is not our country, man. Be good. You guys are awesome. God bless you. Have a good evening.
All right, Betsy, thank you for calling. As always, happy Friday Eve. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789. Let's take a break now, and then we'll get some more
Dominic,
callers.
We're the good ones. Just ask James Widgerson.
No, apparently, we're not civil enough.
Let the eagle soar.
Who is this again?
I mean,
who's singing
that's
this?
John Ashcroft, former Attorney General of the United States. He's got a hell of a set of pipes. I'd love to hear him sing "Old Danny Boy."
Wow.
Nearly
Multi-talented.
as much as you'd like to have some video of Crudy doing a flying squirrel off my ranch roof. into the neighbor's bush because you know I would have come up just a skosh short.
A skosh? 15 feet? I don't think you could do a 15-foot broad jump or running long jump on a flat surface.
On the ground.
Not on the
Not
flat
on the ground.
surface, let alone on a slanted roof. No.
Yeah, but I would aim at the top, and as long as I caught that bush somewhere in the body, I'd be okay, Dom. Give me a big target.
Well, glad you're okay, Mike.
The entirety of the nation really is quite frankly relieved.
We're all behind you, son.
Come back with us. Where were you when I needed it?
I was laughing. You sent me a picture, remember?
844-967-2789. Come join the frivolity. We are the Devil's Advocates. Your calls are next.
Thank you and God bless you. Thank you.
Man, come on. I had a rough night, and I hate the f***ing Eagles, man.
Freedom.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union Yes.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Madison Liquidators has officially moved into a bigger, nicer showroom off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and they are proud to announce they have expanded to provide educational and healthcare institutional furnishings. They have great new offerings of quality new office furnishings from industry leaders like Groupe Lacoste and Via Seating. And you can see the expanded and extensive inventory of used furniture online at MadisonLiquidators.com, or you can call Kelly and have her help you make a plan for your new space. Start today at MadisonLiquidators.com and tell them you heard them on Talk 92.7 FM.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Hey Milwaukee, I'm Sherwin Hughes, host of The Forum from 9 a.m. to noon on WRRD 1510 a.m. Always streaming live on newstalk1510am.com.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Look for me out there. I'm sure I'm on YouTube somewhere under Fail Army.
Right. Oh,
you know, I did take a picture from the roof last night. You know how people do on vacation? You know, just their toes in the sand or, you know, like the beach in the background. Well, I got the nice park in the background and my legs in the shingles of the roof. I think that was the shot I sent to you. I texted it to you, good buddy.
Oh, Crudy. You've never failed a surprise. 844-967-2789. Here's a guy I'm surprised haven't heard from him in some time. Our pal, Gary. Gary, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. How you doing?
Gary, I bet you know your way around a ladder, buddy.
Listen, just because I don't call in all the time doesn't mean I'm not listening to you guys.
All right.
Hey, you know, when Mike was talking about his experience yesterday, I was thinking of a Three Stooges film that I saw.
Which one am I? Larry, Moe, or Curly?
Or Shump?
You're Larry, the big guy. The guy that goes slaps his face when he gets all irritated, like he doesn't know what to do. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Did you call your neighbor that the guy that poops in the dog that poops in your yard? Because I'm sure that he'd be more than happy to come over and help you out. Don't you remember that story you were talking?
Yeah, I don't even acknowledge I have neighbors on that side, Gary. I didn't even look. I didn't even consider seeking help from that side. The other neighbors are on vacation currently. I don't want to expose my neighbors to some sort
I know that, but you could
mischief. I had no
mend
neighbors at home.
You could have mended all the fences with your neighbor with the dog that poops in the yard. You remember what you said to that guy? You started yelling at him, "Get your dog off my property!" You know,
keep those kids off my grass.
Yeah. Hey, they make bungee ropes for stuff like that. I mean, I've been up on roofs, like you said, and a couple times it slid right off. And I shimmied down electrical poles and all sorts of stuff. I have got done. So I feel your pain. I know what it's like.
Gary, if my wife wasn't coming home in like a half an hour, I probably wouldn't have stayed up there. I'd have found a way, or I'd have tried climbing a little too far and just seeing if I made it back on the top of the ladder, the very highest step, like 3 steps higher than the do not step above this step ladder. That's the one I'd have stepped on. I'd have made it, Gary. I'd have been just fine. I'm very clever on a ladder. You should see me.
I've met you. You're a big guy. Hey, you're not no little spry guy like me. They also make these things called leaf filters. Now, I am giving a plug for leaf filter. My son does this, and he puts these filters on, and it guarantees that you'll never grow any trees or bushes in your gutters anymore, and you won't have to clean them anymore. So I'm going to have to get my son in contact with you, and he'll go out there
Gary,
and put some leaf filters on for you.
That will seem like a great investment after I spend like 6 months in traction.
Well, you won't, right, exactly. But the thing is, before you spend 6 months in traction, why don't you just do this? It's not that expensive, and I'm sure I could get a good price for you because we know each other.
The good guy price.
Gary, there's very little advice I like to take from conservatives, but in terms of like home and lawn care stuff, you guys know what's going on. You conservatives have like the most even yards, the most weed-free yards. Gary, you guys are all about good lawns and staying off my grass, right?
Yes, we do.
Gary.
Hey, and then as far as was it Betsy or Betty?
Betsy, yes.
Betsy, our pal Betsy.
Okay. Well, yes, I feel her pain too, that she's all sad, but you just tell her that the other half of the country is happy. So,
are you really, Gary? Let me ask you, are you
I'm
happy
very
that Donald Trump claims to be the chosen one?
Well, he does have quite the ego. And, last night I was watching...
all right, he's claiming to be the son of God, Gary.
Right,
That's
right.
a little beyond I'm super cool.
And you're a religious man, Gary. I really want your honest opinion. I mean, he claims to be the chosen one. He's retweeting out other people who says these kinds of things as well. He looks up at the sky when he says it, Gary. What do you think? Is Donald Trump the second coming of Christ?
I think you guys are embellishing this story a little bit.
Okay.
But like I was saying... I was watching MSNBC last night, and they had a professional psychiatrist, not a psychologist, but a psychiatrist. And this guy was talking, and he was dead serious. And he's talking about the all these different terms I can't talk about. I don't know these terms, but he's a narcissist, and he's this, and he's this, and he's that, and he has real problems. And oh my God, and this guy was dead serious. I mean. You would think that his private lawyer, his private physician would concur with this guy, but I guess not.
I'm not clear what you mean by his private physician of the doctor, the one that said he was in super great health and not at all obese.
This was MSNBC professional psychiatrist they had on, and this guy said he is absolutely insane. Okay, now why hasn't his own professional doctors go out there and come up the same, concur with this psychiatrist? I mean, he's not insane.
Well, if you believe his doctor,
Mike,
Gary, if you believe the president's doctor, it's because he has been cajoled to give a positive rating in the past on behalf of Donald Trump. And in fact, they came and basically strong-armed him in his office.
But
So,
Gary,
Gary, I don't
wait,
think he is
and I
given a
appreciate that, but
unvarnished
I'm not going
account
to
of
let
the
you off the
president.
hook, Gary. I don't give a damn what MSNBC had on. I'm asking you, as a religious man, as a Christian, when the guy you voted for, Donald Trump, claims to be the chosen one, and retweeting, words to the effect that he is the second coming of God. What do you think about that?
He didn't say that. He goes out there and said, "Thank God for me."
No, Gary, he looked to the sky and said, "I am the chosen one." Did you see it? I mean,
And he also retweeted someone else calling him the chosen one and saying he's the Messiah or the second coming.
He's chosen by the votes.
No, Gary, come on.
Really? Well, he wasn't chosen by the votes. Hillary Clinton, he was chosen by the Arcade Electoral College.
Did you see him yesterday on the lawn? Did you see him talk to the press for like 40 minutes? Did you see him say, "I'm the chosen one," and glance to the sky? You think he's talking about the voters then, Gary? Is that what you're telling me?
I was listening, spewing on about the Prime Minister of Denmark and how he insulted him and how mad he was about that. And I thought that was kind of crazy.
Yes.
I thought that was a little weird.
It is, yeah, for sure.
The guy just basically said, "No, I'm not interested." And he took it personally like, this guy just insulted me. I'm not going to go visit with him anymore. We're not going to get
a female Prime Minister.
I thought,
had nasty things to say, Gary.
Okay, but that's just one crazy thing. I'm asking you about a very specific crazy thing. You're a religious man, Gary. All right, what does your church tell you about when people say that they're the second coming of God? What does your faith tell you? My reason tells me the man is certifiable. I want your opinion, Gary.
I would say anybody who comes back and says that, I would say he would be the Antichrist, because only God's going to do this. I mean, the Antichrist.
So Trump is the Antichrist, then, Gary, by that logic?
I'm not saying he is, but
he said he's the chosen one, Gary. By your biblical logic, Donald Trump is the Antichrist.
Mike,
it seems very linear to me.
He's not saying he's the chosen one from God, that he is Christ himself. He didn't say that. He's
the Antichrist, Gary, and I thank you for putting that out there on the tape so I can go back and we can pull it for another promo.
Thank you, Gary.
Got to go to break, Gary. Sorry, man. Hard break. You know how it goes. Got some promos to play. You might hear yourself. Come back with us. The happy hour commences next. We'll take more phone calls. We'll try not to cut people short. But if you call right before the break and you declare Donald Trump to be the Antichrist, might have to use that in a little promo on a later show. Come back. More Devils, 844-967-2789.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China.
I don't think Jesus would be very happy with Donald Trump one bit at all.
He's for China.
Hey guys, this is Maggie Dawn, host of Dawn of the Resistance, live Thursdays and Fridays from 6 to 7 p.m. Starting August 22nd, I'm going to be joined in studio with Dr. Fran Kaplan and Reggie Jackson, Executive Director of America's Black Holocaust Museum, to do 6 shows about race in America. On August 22nd and 23rd, we're going to talk about the history you never learned, facts about race in America. On August 29th and 30th, we're going to talk about why we think the way we do, unpacking implicit bias. Last, on September 5th and 6th, we're going to talk about why what we say and what we do matters. Getting woke, staying woke, and doing woke things. So white folks, you got questions you've never asked? Write them down, tune in, and call in starting August 22nd through September 6th on Dawn of the Resistance on WRRD 1510 AM, always streaming live at newstalk1510am.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Tax cuts coming, potential massacre thwarted. I'm Barbara Cusack. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow told Fox Business Network the Trump administration is considering a package of tax cuts that could be rolled out before the 2020 election. Kudlow says it could help the economy's long-term growth and would not be used as a fix to deal with short-term weakness. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo weighed in as the White House decided not to move forward with plans to cut billions of dollars in foreign aid after a bipartisan outcry from Congress against it.
Every penny the State Department spends, including our foreign assistance budget, is we've got to get it right. We've got to make sure we are using it in ways that are effective, that American interests are represented in the way we spend that money. That certainly includes our foreign assistance program.
A potential massacre at a Marriott hotel in California thwarted thanks to a vigilant worker.
Long Beach Police Chief Robert Luna says the suspect is believed to be a disgruntled employee of the Long Beach Marriott. Luna says 37-year-old Rodolfo Montoya allegedly told another employee about his plan.
At least he's alleged to have said is that he was going to shoot up fellow employees and people coming into the hotel.
And Luna says he could have, as multiple firearms, including an assault rifle, several rounds of ammunition, and high-capacity ammunition magazines were seized from the suspect's home. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
Tech reporter Brian Fung reports that Federal Communications Commission and Federal Trade Commission officials expressed serious concerns about a draft Trump administration executive order seeking to regulate tech giants such as Facebook and Twitter.
This proposal could be a violation of the First Amendment. As one legal expert told me, having the government essentially look over the shoulder of tech companies as they try and moderate the content on their platforms would essentially have the government intervene where it doesn't belong.
Stocks closed mixed, the Dow rising 50 points, the S&P lost a point, the Nasdaq dropped 29. I'm Barbara Cusack.
We the people, the hardworking 99% of men and women, only have a voice when we join together as one and amplify our message. Now is the time for all Wisconsinites to join We the People and raise our voices. Do you feel like you are wasting your money funding unaccountable consultants, unresponsive candidates, and their campaigns? Help us do something that really matters. Please join We the People. Give what you can so we can support progressive radio stations like this one using the public airwaves to educate Wisconsin about what we the people want for our state and remind Wisconsin's politicians that they work for us. Your donations to We the People at p4ppc.org, a registered, compliant IRS 501c3, will always be tax deductible, will always remain anonymous, and We the People pledge to spend 100% of donations educating Wisconsin on the issues our donors want discussed, giving individuals a voice in the collective message of We the People. Please give today at p4ppc.org. That's p4ppc.org. We the People need you.
These cases possibly linked to vaping are rising.
The CDC says the cases, which jumped from 94 to 150 in just 5 days, are spread over 16 different states. Health officials say while the cases appear to be linked to e-cigarette use among young people, no official cause has been determined, but there is one common thread. Many of the patients acknowledged recent use of vaping products containing THC, which is an active ingredient in marijuana. Linda Kenyon, Washington.
President Trump presented basketball legend Bob Cousy with the Presidential Medal of Freedom today.
Mr. President, I know in your world you're well on your way to making America great again. In my world, it's been great for 91 years.
Cousy played for the Boston Celtics from 1950 to 1963, winning 6 league championships and the 1957 MVP title. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Does your dog...
The economic future of America depends on a solid presence of union jobs. The American middle class is the foundation of our local communities, and organized labor is what built the middle class. Starting right here in Wisconsin, need shall be placed on the side of workers. Hello, this is Tom Bennett of Teamsters Local Union number 200. Workers have a voice, and that voice shall be heard. From the bargaining table to the ballot box, workers' values come first. Better wages, affordable health care, and retirement security. Strengthening organized labor strengthens America. Make your voice heard. Join Teamsters Local 200. Call 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com. Check us out on Facebook. Join your brothers and sisters at Local 200. Make a difference. Union yes.
For WRD and WTTN, my name is Brian Kelly with your headlines. A private Catholic school is suing the city of Madison over its ability to host football games. Edgewood High School is alleging religious discrimination, claiming the city of Madison ordinances imposed are, quote, arbitrary, unequal, and unlawful, end quote. Edgewood's field is only approved for practice and not games. They released a statement saying that despite filing a lawsuit, it is still interested in solving the issue in other ways. Milwaukee Alderman Cavalier Johnson's car was struck by a stray bullet outside his home on Milwaukee's northwest side on Tuesday afternoon. No one was injured. Highs today in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies. Overnight low of 62 in Milwaukee and 55 in Madison. Friday highs again in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies. For WRD and WTTN, my name is Brian Kelly.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Kroot.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the Friday Eve 5 o'clock happy hour. You better be happy, you surly little bastard.
Absolutely. I'm happy Friday Eve, Crudy.
Dominic, I have been working on some future bookings for this fine show. We got some
You keep
excellent
telling me
ones
that.
upcoming. Well, someone's got to book some. If I don't do it, nobody does.
What?
We have congressional candidate Amanda Stuck coming up in the very near future. We have Wisconsin Supreme Court judicial candidate Jill Karofsky, Judge Jill. We got Mark Pocan, a favored friend of ours. He's a fine guest. He'll be on very soon, next week, I believe. Trying to work him into the studio, Dom. And coming up tomorrow, here's the one I'll give you credit for. Greg Palast, national journalist. A fine one, joining us tomorrow in the 3 o'clock hour, about 3:30 Central Time. And we'll talk about election fraud, election integrity, all those sort of topics. So I'll give you kudos for that booking,
I'll only
Dom.
take one kudo. Our buddy Tom Adler helped me out on that one as well. So thank you, Tom, and we look forward to that conversation tomorrow. We've had these, conversations a few times in the last 2-3 weeks, Curdy. So this will be a nice little cherry on top.
Well, Dominic, I think we had a conversation very recently, perhaps it was yesterday on the show, talking about Donald Trump down in the hospital in El Paso. And at the time we talked about, and I think I drew reference to the fact, Donald Trump had to brag about the size of the crowd and the fact that the doctors, they came out of the surgeries to greet him. He's the chosen one and all that kind of stuff, Dom.
Oh, my, yes. We have that cut? Let's play that cut, Brian. Let's remind everybody.
Play that cut real quick, just so you don't think I'm making it up, Gary.
It's a minute long. That's okay. Let's play it.
Mr. President, you talked about today what you've seen. We had an amazing day. As you know, we left Ohio, and the love, the respect for the office of the presidency, I wish you could have been in there to see it. I wish you could have been in there. And it was no different here. We went to the hospital, just came from the hospital. We were there a lot longer than we were anticipated to be. It was supposed to be just a fairly quick. We met with numerous people. We met with also the doctors, the nurses, the medical staff. They have done an incredible job. Both places, just incredible. And the enthusiasm, the love, the respect, and also the telling me, let's see if we can get something done. And Republicans want to do it, and Democrats want to do it. And by the way, here's a great hero. This man, the job he did, you all know who it is. Everybody, the whole world knows who you are now, right? So to be a movie star in the world, that'll be next. Who knows, right? But what a job they did. There are a lot of heroes There are a lot of heroes, a lot of people who did just incredible work. Now we're going in, I believe, Chief, and say hello to some of your folks.
Yes. Well, Donald Trump went on to say, and was quoted as saying that, people came out of their surgeries to come greet him, and he had met with the victims. And that's not entirely true. And in fact, Sarah Burris at the Raw Story reports, I'll read. President Donald Trump bragged that he got an overwhelming welcome from Ohio and Texas when he went to visit survivors of the mass shootings before his latest vacation. Now, however, El Paso's University Medical Center is being forced to dispute the president's account of events. Here's the quote. Not only did they meet with me, they were pouring out of the room. The doctors were coming out of the operating rooms. There were hundreds and hundreds of people all over the floor. We couldn't even walk on it. So, there's a lot to happen, Trump told reporters at the White House lawn Wednesday. Now, here is what the spokesperson for the hospital, Ryan Melke, apparently his name, at no time did or would physicians or staff leave active operating rooms during the presidential visit. Our priority is always patient care. Now, Dom, I took note of the fact. I said, if my surgeon walked out of the room, I don't care if it's, even some sort of elective thing. I don't care if I'm getting rhinoplasty, if I'm getting a nose job, if I'm getting a vasectomy. If my surgeon says, hold on, chill out for just a minute. I hear the president's out in the hallway and he leaves the operating room. My next call is going to be to an attorney, Dom,
right?
Because I'm suing that hospital for malpractice. By the way, I'm back to the Raw Story piece, Sarah Burris. The only survivor of the mass shootings who met with the president was the baby, whose parents shielded her body, dying in the process. No one else wanted to meet with Trump. The baby, Dom, he met with the baby.
Oh,
he used
yeah.
the baby
How could
as
we
a photo
forget?
prop.
Yes, the baby that can't possibly consent to that, the baby whose parents were murdered, and the baby who was the subject of a terrible picture with the president smiling ear to ear, giving the big thumbs up. That
Dominic
baby.
Also reported at the Raw Story when visiting the hospital, Trump bragged about the rally he held in the city where he had a, air quotes, large crowd. We could have sold it 4 times, he told the survivors. Apparently that means the baby, Dom. Trump doesn't sell tickets to his rallies. They're free. That had to be noted here at the Raw Story. So apparently the doctors did not leave their operating rooms, at least according to the attorneys and the spokespeople for this fine medical center in El Paso.
844-967-2789. Crudy, I think this leads nicely into the Jennifer Rubin piece of the day from the Washington Post. Trump's unhinged display should frighten everyone. Here's what Rubin writes.
Which unhinged display? Because there's been several just this week.
There were several yesterday. It's no joke, as former Vice President Joe Biden would say. In the last week or so, we've witnessed President Trump deny there is a threat of a recession, blame the Federal Reserve Chairman for raising rates too high, deny, then admit, then finally reject consideration of cuts to either payroll taxes or capital gains taxes. We've seen him seriously consider buying Greenland, then cancel a trip to Denmark, and then finally insult Denmark's female prime minister, Mette Frederiksen, whom Trump characterized as nasty, his all-purpose insult to women who don't do his bidding, and claimed that when she says his idea about purchasing Greenland was absurd, she is offending the United States. He called Jews disloyal on consecutive days and proclaimed himself the chosen one.
That part's true, though.
Though he still insists the trade deficit means China has sucked hundreds of billions of dollars out of our economy. He insists that kicking Russia out of the group of 8 for its invasion of Ukraine was an overreaction by President Barack Obama. I guess that is what he means and should be reversed. This is nuts, writes Rubin. I don't mean nuts like allowing the deficit to expand to $1 trillion is nuts, or pretending personal diplomacy with Kim Jong-un works is nuts. I mean in the non-medical sense. He is erratic, narcissistic, unhinged, unable to control his anger, illogical, and forgetful. Remember the rally in New Hampshire at which he appeared to repeat a portion of the speech he gave at the beginning? He has lost the ability to differentiate himself from the country and his own psychological needs from the country's interests. To oppose him is to be an enemy of the people. You say that we knew all this? ? I'd argue, Crudy, his ability to conceal these habits has considerably diminished, and the period over which he rants stretch has lengthened. The craziness is swallowing the moments of lucidity, and given the real potential for a recession, his incoherence carries frightening risks.
Dominic, I'll take it up from here. Jennifer Rubin at the Washington Post. This is not a call for the 25th Amendment, which cannot be activated without his cabinet, and vice president does not provide a final remedy and was not designed for these circumstances. I'm calling for some truth-telling. Let's begin with former Trump officials, and I don't mean Anthony Scaramucci. It is the patriotic obligation of Gary Cohn, Rex Tillerson, Jim Mattis, Daniel Coates, and H.R. McMaster to speak with one voice, to make plain their concerns about the president's fitness for office and call for a thorough psychological examination by a panel of expert psychiatrists, or if Trump refuses, for his resignation. They don't have to worry about alarming other world leaders. They know, believe me, they know. All presidential candidates, Republican challengers, and Democrats should express grave concern about his mental and emotional fitness, as should members of Congress. If need be, hearings should be held to convey expert opinion about his observable behaviors. Talking to you, Gary. Was it Gary that had the objection to the psychologist on MSNBC?
Yes.
Well, anyways, Gary, they're observable. He's doing the crazy in public. I read on. Democrats in the House should move as expeditiously as possible towards impeachment based on conduct outlined in the Mueller report, but with an eye towards the growing urgency of the problem. Will these compel Republicans to turn on him, join the call for the resignation vote to impeach, or convince Trump to resign? ? In all likelihood, they won't. But the voters deserve to know before the election, and hopefully sooner than November of 2020, what is going on and the dangers in retaining a mentally and emotionally unfit president. And if Trump's conduct gets worse, as we imagine it will, and a recession or other national crisis arises, everyone will be glad that the process had begun. So saith Jennifer Rubin, a former conservative columnist at the Washington Post.
We're not going to put her down as one of the, 50, 80% of GOP members that love what Trump's doing on the economy.
Oh, he's swell, Dom. He's best leader ever. Some would say he's the chosen one.
Yeah, he does. That's part of the problem.
Wasn't that a movie with, not Robin Williams, the guy that did Raw, Eddie Murphy?
The chosen one? The Golden Child? The Golden Child.
The Golden Child. My bad.
sweet
My
mother
bad.
Noomsy.
The chosen one, man. That's the Matrix.
And Harry Potter.
And Star Wars.
Which one do you think Trump thinks he is?
All of them.
The Messiah. Come back with us. Dom, Crude, we're just men. Just plain old men. And your phone calls at 844-967-2789. Well, that's not true. We're a little better than plain old men, but you know what we're saying.
Was either a certified genius or an authentic wacko.
I'm an extremely stable genius.
I wish you weren't a liar.
Michael Jackson didn't come over to my house. He was a bad child. But his sister did.
Amalgamated Transit Union Local 998 is made up of the drivers and mechanics, professionals in Milwaukee. We keep the buses running all night long and all over the city. I'm one of them. After more than 20 years, I have seen it all, from bad drivers to hostile passengers. Just last week, one of my coworkers had a gun pulled on her. Enough is enough. We get Milwaukee to work. We get them home again. Our working conditions are your safety conditions, and we need help to provide improved safety and security for drivers and passengers. Call Chris Aberly at 414-278-4338. and tell him to stand with ATU 998. Make safety and a fair contract a priority.
This message paid for by ATU Local 998.
The economic future of America depends on a solid presence of union jobs. The American middle class is the foundation of our local communities, and organized labor is what built the middle class. Starting right here in Wisconsin, need shall be placed on the side of workers. Hello, this is Tom Bennett of Teamsters Local Union number 200. Workers have a voice, and that voice shall be heard. From the bargaining table to the ballot box, workers' values come first. Better wages, affordable health care, and retirement security. Strengthening organized labor strengthens America. Make your voice heard. Join Teamsters Local 200. Call 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com. Check us out on Facebook. Join your brothers and sisters at Local 200. Make a difference. Union yes.
% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones. It's the happy hour. We are happy at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, the last article we referenced, Jennifer Rubin's piece, enumerated a number of former Trump cabinet members and Trump officials, but one was conspicuous by her absence. Jennifer Rubin did not call for Sarah Huckabee Colonel Sanders to rise up and speak out against the administration. And perhaps I know why. Sarah Huckabee Colonel Sanders has a new job, Dom, and she's so very proud to tell us all about it.
Ooh.
Going to work for Foxy News.
What?
She's not the typical blonde that they normally put on with the nice gams and the pretty smile.
You mean she didn't work for Fox News before?
Fox News has signed former White House press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders as a contributor, the network announced on Thursday. Here's a quote from the Colonel, Dom. Fox News has been the number one news organization in the country for 17 years running, and I'm beyond proud to join their incredible stable, unfortunate use of words by her, of on-air contributors in providing political insights and analysis. You're the best, Brian. The 37-year-old, I got dyslexia apparently.
Horsey McCall's face.
The 37-year-old will provide political commentary and analysis to the Foxy News Channel, the Foxy Business Network, the Foxy News Digital, Fox Nation, and the radio podcast division. Dom, now she's treading on our turf.
Uh-oh.
Sanders will make her debut on Foxy Friends on September 6th. Sanders served as the White House press secretary for President Trump from July of 2017 through June of 19, making her the third woman and the first mom ever to hold the position. She disgraced her offspring. She previously joined the administration as deputy press secretary in January of 17 after working as a senior advisor for Trump's election campaign. Now, I'm looking at this photo of her. She's not a pretty woman. And I'm not saying you got to be pretty to be on television, but that's sort of standard operating procedure for Fox News. I mean, that's kind of been Roger Ailes and the Murdoch's plan. Throw a pretty woman out there. They call it news porn, Dom. They want you to be able to sit next to your wife, you know, the old decrepit Fox News viewers, and to dream about having sex with the commentators.
What?
Yes,
I mean,
that has
listen,
absolutely been their MOS for years.
I mean, okay, news porn. I understand the concept, I guess, but I would throw this back here. If, in fact, that's your description, not everyone's into the same kind of porn. I mean, some folks like bigger gals. You know, some folks are into all sorts of strange things. Just look at the menu options at any number of your local porn sites. I'm just saying, it's not all blondes, man.
For me, it's all the people that I wouldn't kill. That's how it worked out for me. I am 350 pounds. I just got to put that out.
You stay on bottom, Brian.
So you think Sarah Huckabee, Colonel Sanders, could be out there doing some sort of dominatrix-based porn news?
I just think there's a variety of flavors and appetites.
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
Right, but she's somebody's.
It's the first time I ever
she's
agreed with Donald
somebody's
Trump.
first choice. She's
I don't even
somebody's
think she's her own husband's first choice. How could she be?
Horsey McCall's face.
She's got that Scott Walker eye thing going on.
You know, all right. Yes, she's not as beautiful as we are. I'll grant you that. But
she's like James Widgerson in a dress, Dom. Let me read on from this.
You're brutal, man. You're brutal.
Sanders is the daughter of former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, who is a Republican and a former presidential candidate and worked in leadership roles for U.S. senators, governors, and presidential campaigns. Now, Dom, rumor has it she wants to run for the governor of Arkansas. And my thought is she's only taking this Fox News gig to, raise her profile. By the way, in Arkansas, Sanders was a senior advisor to Senator Tom Cotton in 2014 when he defeated incumbent Democratic Senator Mark Pryor and was campaign manager for Senator John Boozman in 2010 when he defeated incumbent Democrat Blanche Lincoln. So she's the Dem killer, apparently, Dom. In 2007 and 2008, Sanders helped lead Governor Huckabee to a victory in the Iowa caucuses and 7 other states as his national political director. And beyond politics, Sanders has advised major Fortune 500 companies and nonprofits, including serving as a member of the One Campaign, a global nonprofit founded by U2's Bono to take action to end extreme poverty and preventable disease. In 2010, she was named one of Time Magazine's 40 under 400. I mean, 40 under 40.
Crudy, Eric Wemple. Fox News rewards liar Sarah Sanders with contributor contract. Here are some of the achievements. She ended the decades-long tradition of White House press briefings, which were once helpful sessions that communicated White House priorities and kept citizens abreast of the news. She lied on repeated occasions in her failing efforts to cover for lies of her boss. She appeared in the pages of the Mueller report for having essentially fabricated the notion that FBI officers cheered President Trump's May 2017 firing of Comey. She backed Trump's fake news attacks. She shared online doctor video of CNN correspondent Jim Acosta's encounter with a White House press aide. What does that resume get you in this day and age? A contributor's contract at Fox News? Of course! Who wouldn't want her on your news team?
Well, there's some rumor, I've heard it on this show, that there might just be some Sarah Huckabee Sanders big girl news porn out there. Just saying.
Oh, jeez.
Different strokes for different folks. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates.
Whatever gets you through the night. And it's Bono.
Do you want to be a winner? All the winners I know like the Devil's Advocates Facebook page.
Horsey McHorseface is coming. Horsey McHorseface and the big dreamer, Horsey.
No, sir. I didn't like it.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on News Talk 1510 AM. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 AM. Next, it's The Forum with Sherwin Hughes from 9 to noon. Then from 12 till 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. At 6, it's Jocasta Zamaripa, Maggie Dawn, and Unheard Of with Brandy Grayson. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
The Packing House, where you can experience the soulful dimensions of Joe Jordan and the Soul Trio every second and fourth Saturday of the month, where you can also enjoy live music 4 nights a week, Wednesday through Saturday, some of the best local talent around. It's never a cover charge. Schedule online at packinghousemke.com or give us a call at 414-483-5054. Great food, handcrafted cocktails across the street from the airport on Layton. Packing House, a family owned and operated since 1974.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union yes.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and my family owns Madison Liquidators. We've officially moved into our new space off Pleasant View Road in Middleton, and we're excited to announce that Madison Liquidators is now Dane County's premier dealer for Groupe Lacoste. In addition to their unbeatable 25-year warranty, Groupe Lacoste has 10 lines to choose from, ranging from traditional to ultra-modern, all available in 18 different finishes. Give me a call and let's make a plan for your space, or go online to madisonliquidators.com and shop our complete inventory of used office furniture.
I don't see the support. I don't support it.
Wisconsin Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald doesn't see the support for legalized medicinal marijuana, even though the 2018 midterm referendum in 11 counties and the city of Waukesha passed by over 79%. Call Scott Fitzgerald at 608-266-5660. Tell him you support legalized medicinal marijuana.
No, I don't see it.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
For WRRD and WTTN, my name is Brian Kelly with your headlines. The architect's rendering of Milwaukee County Executive Chris Avely's replacement for a historic mansion, torn down earlier this year, have been submitted to Shorewood's Design Review Board. The traditional-looking French limestone mansion will have 7 bedrooms and 7 full bathrooms and 4 half baths. Critics are calling it underwhelming, but Avely said in a statement that it will blend nicely into the neighborhood. The Brewers avoided the sweep, beating the Cardinals 5-3 last night. They head to Arizona to face the Diamondbacks for a 3-game weekend series starting tomorrow. Highs today in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies, overnight low of 62 in Milwaukee and 55 in Madison. Tomorrow highs again in the mid-70s with partly cloudy skies, and Saturday clear skies in Milwaukee with a high of 73. Partly cloudy high of 76 expected in Madison.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the happy hour. It continues, Dom. And I'd like to point something out. I don't mean to make fun of the looks of James Widgerson or Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and I've got another subject. I'm going to call her ugly as well. But it's not their looks per se. You know, I think it's the good book that says beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes to the bone.
Well,
and I really feel like these are ugly people on the inside, Dom, and it shines through. It's not so much that I'm fat shaming as I'm just pointing out they're incredibly ugly human beings from their souls outward.
844-967-2789. Talk or text. Tony from Oregon, he pipes in on this. You work for a person who rips on people's looks. You are fair game. And I have to, I guess, kind of agree with that. I mean, if you're going to be employed by the president who has obviously no filters and no problem insulting everybody and everything on everything, of course, he himself, infallible, never apologizes, never does anything wrong. Everything's always somebody else's fault. You willfully work for that person. You're getting paid by the taxpayers, but you're certainly not representing the interests of the citizens of the United States. So you're going to engage in that? I mean, I get it, Tony. I would say you're right. You want to play that game? You defend a guy like Trump and those things that he says, and you continue to stay in that environment? Well, I guess you're fair game.
Dominic, by virtue of Tony's logic, wouldn't that make you and Fancy Brian fair game as well?
Sure. I mean, technically. I mean, I
guilt by association with me?
No doubt. I mean, I get it. I get insults from you. I mean, I've known you for 25 years, Crudy. You've been insulting me since the day we met. It's one of the
only because it's merited.
Well, but it's also mildly amusing. It's fun. You can do that to your friends.
Ball busting.
Yeah, busting chops. It's entirely appropriate, and I think, and I obviously find amusing and funny, because I give it right back.
He's tiny.
See, that's funny. I'm not a tall man. I've come to terms with that. I'm okay with that. But I'm damn sexy, not just because of the way I look, because what I am inside.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that you can come after me all you want with my size.
You're a big man.
I got into an argument online with a guy, and he came back at me with a picture that I posted online of me with a big, giant beer gut holding up a bunch of stuff at a beer festival, and he tried to use that to fat shame me, and I said, why are you using one of the best days of my life to go and shame me? I know what I look like. I like it. What are you going to do?
People do that to me with Coon Creek video.
But I obviously to have civil discussion, and that can be defined differently by different people, I guess. But presumably you got to get past the nicks and the punches and the jabs and get to content, I guess.
If I don't literally punch you in the mouth, and I don't mean you per se, I just mean anyone conversationally who, ambles by that might join in the conversation with us, Dom. If you don't leave bleeding, then I don't want to hear you whining. Because sticks and stones may break your bones, but, Crudy's harsh words will never hurt you.
And then engage in, and that's the deal. But if we're going to trade insults, do you really get to the core of any discussion? And we could trade insults all day long, dude, and never really...
No, but that's kind of fun. Well, trolling Widgerson and Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Scott Walker, and I enjoy it. This is how I pass the time on the radio.
You want to do something or just stand there and bleed?
844-967-2789. We cannot be the ones having all the fun. Let's get a caller like Brock from Horicon. Brock, who do you think's ugly?
Oh, wow. Well, everybody in the Trump administration, in fact, the better-looking ones are some of the ugliest ones there are, just from their thought process and their lying attributes.
So you're talking about Ivanka and Jared?
Oh, boy. Well, that's
pretty on the outside, ugly on the inside?
There's a Miss Kellyanne Conway that, oh, boy, is that probably no mirrors in that house. I don't think vampires have them. Yeah, just unbelievable, some of those people, just their thought processes. And I'm guessing Miss Sanders probably was always a little bit on the bigger side anyhow. Some of that's just dealing, playing the cards you got. We're back to Tony Evers again. You get a bunch of ones and a zero. You just got to play the ones and the zero. I mean, what are you going to do? But her lying and her obstruction and her not being in jail or up on charges is amazing to me in and of itself. So you can admit to federal prosecutors that you lied to them during an investigation.
No, lied to the American people.
Yeah.
Told the truth to the prosecutors.
Yes.
People. I was going to say, when I read that, and I've skimmed several different portions of it, I must admit, and I thought, how in the hell is she not in trouble? Well, how in the hell is she not in trouble for lying to the American people?
Because that's not a crime, Brock. That's
Brock,
not a crime.
You know who lied to the...
Well, there has to be... Right. I don't mean you have to be in jail just to be held accountable somehow.
Right.
No. That's
well,
all
the
I mean.
also
How is she
pretty...
not held accountable?
The pretty Hope Hicks apparently lied both to the American people and to federal investigators, and so far she stayed out of prison.
And she likes to do fun things with the Hatch Act and a couple other nondescript, they're only federal statutes. What the heck? Well, those are felonies? It amazes me. And I don't know if I would apologize either. If I'm going to go unchecked and there's no consequences, I don't know why Trump would apologize. They've been unable to check them. They've been unable to do what they're supposed to do.
Well, because,
I'm
Brock,
beginning
you
to
have
wonder
some
why we
sense, because you have a sense of shame, because you have some sense of humanity, because you're not the pure narcissist. You know what I mean? Because, come on, everybody makes a mistake in their life, or two or three, or lots. I mean, right?
Yep,
and most people would if I wrong someone, I mean, maybe you meant it, maybe you have regret, but
if it ever happens, I'll apologize.
Right. That's what Trump says. And of course, that's absolutely ridiculous. That is not showing any sort of humanity whatsoever, which of course just adds to the total BS factor of who this character is. He's a swindler. He's a hustler.
Yep.
He's a huckster.
For 40 years.
Yeah, sure he has.
And their whole family, it's a criminal syndicate. I don't know how any of them are not in trouble that way. I don't know how any of them just seem to be able to wiggle their way out of every problem. And then people that vote for him find some roundabout way to tie him to Obama and have there be similarities. Obama and him are about the same as, I don't know, Hitler and, I don't know, you. No similarity whatsoever. It just, I don't.
He must mean you, Dom.
How they tie those guys together. Yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how they keep justifying it, and I don't know how you can commit several alleged felonies via obstruction, via tax evasion, via campaign finance laws, and not be held accountable. What do we even have the Congress there for? They don't.
Oh, sorry, Brock. Here's what I would say. You got to own the Attorney General of the United States. That helps. And, of course, if you are the president, apparently some DOJ memo is effectively your forever get-out-of-jail card, or at least as long as you're the president. But, Dom, you have speculated the man will resign in what? Disgraced? Declare victory and walk away?
I think there's so much to come out with this president. We still don't know the details of any of his financial dealings yet. And what we do know, and his relationships with Deutsche Bank and certainly some of the other creditors, and Deutsche Bank, of course, heavily fined hundreds of millions of dollars for their involvement in laundering Russian mob money. And let's just be frank about this. And a lot of that money went into real estate in Manhattan, in New York. I mean, I'm throwing it out there. I believe that there is a lot more to come. And if some of this stuff comes out, remember, we don't have unredacted versions of anything. All the good stuff is still withheld from us. What? For our own good? Because we can't handle the truth? No.
More likely because there are open counterintelligence investigations of the sitting president still currently going on.
Right.
That's why you can't have the truth. Then the obstruction of the Attorney General of the United States. Nothing in there. Full exoneration. Move on. Nothing to see here. Dom, here's my thought. What happens next spring? And you heard Trump say, difference between me and Nixon, I'm not a quitter, right? Until the pressure's on, until the polling is in. And as the Democratic field, and it's starting to narrow down a little bit, I saw Jay Inslee, started to watch Rachel Maddow last night. Jay Inslee comes out, and I'm like, I've talked to Jay Inslee. I'm not impressed. He's never going to be the president. Didn't even stick around for the interview. Well, apparently even Jay Inslee's not impressed by Jay Inslee. He walked away and said, I'm leaving the race. I didn't even watch the interview on Maddow last night. But ultimately, as that Democratic field is winnowed down, and we start getting the head-to-head polling, and there's at least 4 or 5 of them currently that in nearly every poll we see, they're beating Trump, or they're substantially beating Trump, or they're kicking Trump's ass electorally. Well, how many polls from Fox News is Donald Trump going to have to see next spring before he decides, you know what? This polling is worse than the last polling. And I might have caught an inside straight in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But the likelihood that I'm going to find that same electoral eye of the needle to go through and win the presidency, it's going to seem very unlikely. At some point, Donald Trump is going to have to face the reality that he is not going to be reelected. And of course, other than the get out of jail free card, Tom, what will be his incentive to stay and be publicly humiliated?
Isn't that,
because it's going to be hard to
isn't
claim
that enough?
3 million votes when you lose by 10 to 15 million.
I mean, it's a long way between here and there, Crudy, and obviously, a lot of Republicans would push back and say, "Hey, man, he's the favorite going into this thing." So, in knowing that he can't, he's hiding behind this such ridiculous DOJ memo that a sitting president can't be criminally charged. And knowing that there's still ongoing investigations into him and various aspects of his business and campaign life, what else? Why wouldn't he keep going?
Well, because there just maybe impeachment hearings going on, at least on the House side. He might be getting publicly humiliated day after day after day. And as the future Democratic nominee becomes more and more apparent, I would say by the time we get through, let's say, Wisconsin, April 7th of 2020, I think we're going to have a pretty good sense. That could be a do or die state for whoever the remaining candidates are.
Well, if you believe Jerry Nadler and the Judiciary Committee, we could be having impeachment hearings before the end of the year. I mean, this could come a whole lot quicker than that time frame. But I would also say this. You may be right in the fact that, and I think he will get out, and I predict it by the end of this year, and who knows what's going to happen. But he's already kind of laying the groundwork. Oh, lost $3-4 billion serving as your president. This whole thing's a loser for me. I could get back into the private market, the private sector, and that would be more profitable for me. So he's already kind of laying that groundwork with his recent rallies. So it might be in the back of his head. I certainly hope he does walk away. I hope he gets chased out. We don't tar and feather him, but it'd be great to see him in a jumpsuit.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. Just had an article tweeted at us, and the headline, very compelling. L.A. Tom Adler, I believe, sent us this one. A new poll shows what really interests pro-lifers. It ain't about birth and babies, Tom. It's about controlling women. I think we'll end the day there. Your phone calls as well, 844-967-2789. We're the Devil's Advocates, the chosen radio show between 3 and 6 every weekday afternoon.
The one thing we know, and they do say, anybody that runs against Trump suffers.
You're under arrest, Trump.
In a union, there is strength. Wisconsin has had a long history with the organized labor movement in America, fighting for stronger wages, affordable health care, and retirement security, the values of the middle class. You can be part of that experience. Let Teamsters 200 be your partner. Your voice matters. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook. Make a difference. Union Yes.
We the people, the hardworking 99% of men and women, only have a voice when we join together as one and amplify our message. Now is the time for all Wisconsinites to join We the People and raise our voices. Do you feel like you are wasting your money funding unaccountable consultants, unresponsive candidates, and their campaigns? Help us do something that really matters. Please join We the People. Give what you can so we can support progressive radio stations like this one, using the public airwaves to educate Wisconsin about what we the people want for our state and remind Wisconsin's politicians that they work for us. Your donations to We the People at p4ppc.org, a registered, compliant IRS 501c3, will always be tax deductible, will always remain anonymous, and We the People pledge to spend 100% of donations educating Wisconsin on the issues our donors want discussed, giving individuals a voice in the collective message of We the People. Please give today at p4ppc.org. That's p4ppc.org. We the People need you. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Devil's Advocates. Radio for Nasty women everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, do it right now at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, always appreciate when the audience share their headlines with us, and we try to read as many as we can, especially during the commercial breaks. This one tweeted at us by our good friend L.A. Tom. We the people, Tom. Here's the headline at The Guardian. A new poll shows what really interests pro-lifers. Controlling women. Jill Filipovic writes on behalf of The Guardian, according to self-identified pro-life advocates, the fundamental divide between those who want to outlaw abortion and those who want to keep it legal comes down to one question. When does life begin? Anti-abortion advocacy pushes the view that life begins at conception. The name of their movement carefully centers the conceit that opposition to abortion rights is simply about wanting to save human lives. However, a new poll shows that's a lie. The pro-life movement is fundamentally about misogyny. A supermajority Perry Undum survey released this week divides respondents by their position on abortion and then tracks their answers to 10 questions on gender equity more generally. On every question, anti-abortion voters were significantly more hostile to gender equity than pro-choice voters. Do men make better political leaders than women? Question. More than half of anti-abortion voters agreed. Do you want there to be equal numbers of men and women in positions of power in America? Fewer than half of abortion opponents said yes, compared with 80% of pro-choicers who said they want women to share in power equally. Anti-abortion voters don't like the Me Too movement. They don't think the lack of women in positions of power impacts women's equality. They don't think access to birth control impacts women's equality. They don't think the way women are treated in society as an important issue in the 2020 election. In other words, they don't believe sexism is a problem, and they're hostile to women's rights. Pro-lifers are sexist in denial. Yes, the women too. In the aftermath of the 2016 election, most white pundits wondered if Donald Trump's white male base was motivated by economic anxiety. We heard this over and over. Trump voters aren't the racist deplorables the liberal media, of which the same pundits were a part, makes them out to be. They're decent people who have been hurt by free trade agreements, increasing Chinese economic dominance, the decimation of unions, a thinning social safety net, and stagnating wages. Why those same people would turn around and vote for a party that kills unions, tears up the safety net, blocks the minimum wage, raises while cutting taxes for CEOs, went unexplained. Then came the social scientist. And the what do you know? Trump voters weren't motivated by economic anxiety as much as fear of cultural displacement. White Christian men and many of their wives were so used to their cultural, political, and economic dominance that they perceived the ascension of other groups as a threat. To put it more straightforward terms, they were racist and sexist and saw in Trump a kindred spirit who would work for their interests, their primary interest being a symbolic reassertion of their cultural dominance. Trump's continued appeals to his racist base, coupled with his efforts to help the rich and screw the working class, have only confirmed this conclusion. His base still cheers him on. Economic anxiety be damned. The American anti-abortion movement invented this kind of political gaslighting. The Catholic Church, an unabashedly misogynist institution that to this day refuses to allow women in positions of power, had long opposed abortion, but not for all that long until about 150 years ago. The Catholic view was that abortion was permissible through the first few months of pregnancy. But evangelicals didn't seem to think much about abortion until an earlier pet issue, racial segregation, began to fall out of favor. Around the same time, women's social roles were rapidly changing. The birth control pill brought with it an avalanche of opportunities and freedoms for women. Finally, fully able to have sex for fun and prevent pregnancy took full advantage. The ability to delay a pregnancy and later the ability to legally end one meant that women didn't have to choose between romance and ambition. And it meant women could be choosier about romance, making a more considered decision about who and whether to marry. Don, that's why we got so many incel snowflake Republicans in the world.
Crudy, this undermined the whole right-wing Christian project, which was and remains thoroughly invested in a nuclear family with a father at the head. And indeed, right-wing arguments against abortion used to invoke conservative gender tropes much more often that abortion undermines the traditional family value, for example. Those arguments began to fall out of favor in a more feminist world, so the anti-abortion movement pivoted towards life. It was convenient, erase the pregnant woman and focus on the fetus. Defending life, abortion opponents have long claimed, has absolutely nothing to do with opposing rights for women. Except, of course, that it does. Abortion rights advocates have spent decades pointing out that these self-styled pro-lifers don't seem to care much about life once the baby is born. They want to cut aid to needy children and health care to poor mothers and pregnant women. They oppose contraception and sex education, the most effective ways to reduce the abortion rate. Many of them continue to support a president who separates small children from their parents and keeps them in squalid cages. Life, it seems, has precious little to do with being pro-life. This survey is another example of how abortion opposition is tied up in the whole knot of misogyny. Women, according to more than 3/4 of anti-abortion survey respondents, are too easily offended. More than 70% of pro-lifers in the survey agree that women interpret innocent remarks or acts as being sexist. Women, in other words, are a touch hysterical and perhaps not to be trusted. While 82% of pro-choice respondents said that the country would be better off with more women in political office, just 34% of abortion opponents agreed. It's not about life. It's about the fact that abortion is inexorably tied to women's freedoms and female power. If women can't decide for themselves when and whether to have children, if having sex can mean being forced into motherhood, women also won't be able to decide their own futures. We know that being forced to continue a pregnancy makes women more likely to remain in poverty. It makes women more likely to remain in abusive relationships. It hurts their children. It makes women more likely to die. If you don't want women to be equal, a great way to force that ideal is to strip women out of our rights to our own bodies and reproductive decisions. And the goal of abortion opponents is clear. They do not want women to be equal players in society. Thanks to the glut of data on what actually motivates Trump voters, you don't hear the economic anxiety argument made much anymore. It's usually referenced derisively. It's time to give the claim of being pro-life the same treatment.
Jill Filipovic, founded at The Guardian. Thank you, LA Tom. Tomorrow, join us. Got a big guest, Greg Palast at 3:30, national reporter. Going to talk election fraud. Thank you all for listening. Stick around. Our friend Maggie Dawn of the Resistance. She'll be next. Devil's Advocates, we'll turn it off for tonight. We'll do it all again for you on Friday, Dom's favorite day of the week.
Too fast, furious.
Well, she's a great big fat person.
But it also could be somebody sitting on their bed that weighs 400 pounds, okay?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
There's nothing on that plate but gristle and fat.
He called me fat and said I was going to die on the toilet.
You were the chosen one!
Amalgamated Transit Union Local 998 is made up of the drivers and mechanic professionals in Milwaukee. We keep the buses running all night long and all over the city.